Hello, and welcome to episode 29 of the Gamers of the Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host, Darren Whittam, and joining me as always, we've got the other Spark on the pod. We've tracked him down from his underground bunker, where he's hiding out to avoid any Star Wars spoilers. But he's stepped briefly away from his secure compound for the good of gamers everywhere. It's Antony Chesson.
Hello, how did you know?
What's it like in the light?
Oh, God, it's scary out here. I tell you what, I'm scared to look on the internet. I have been off of Twitter now for 24 hours.
Wow.
I got the shakes. It's not nice. I am not looking at Facebook. I'm not looking at just any website because, like, so many websites, they just kind of, it could be nothing. It could be John Lewis and they'll have a spoiler for Star Wars or something. So I'm just, like, staying away.
Yeah, I thought the internet seemed quiet without you.
It was. It's a lonely place, isn't it? It's just...
Crikey. Yeah, I wish I had a Jack Bauer sample. It's like, I'm going dark.
I made it. I was on the way to Manchester yesterday. I was on the way to Manchester, and I started looking at Twitter, and then straight away I think there was the premiere in LA, and I suddenly seen Star Wars. You know, we listened to what the first 4 minutes is like. Do this, do that. And I'm like, nope, that's it. I'm done. See you on Thursday.
Yeah, I saw this. I briefly saw something because I flicked the TV on. It was the news, and it showed me that premiere, and it said they were all under strict NDA.
Yes.
Not to say anything. I thought good, and I'm impressed because I started probably not looking yesterday, same as you-ish, but I'm really impressed that there's been no leaks that I'm aware of. I haven't gone looking, but as far as I'm aware, there hasn't been any leaks, and that's pretty good going these days.
Yeah, well, I was just worried because there's a lot of websites that are out there that Bleeding Cool. I'm looking at you. You're kind of one of the worst. You know, they will just put the spoiler in the title of the of the trailer. You know, when the Batman Superman trailer dropped, they was like Batman Super trailer. It contains Doomsday. You know, and it's just like, well, let me just watch these 3.5 minutes before you spoil it for me. Do you know what I mean? So I know, and I just noticed they were very kind of anything about Star Wars was straight away, you know, was there. So I'm just like, no, I'm just gonna not put Bleeding Cool in my feeds and do all of that. You know, it's stupid that I'm doing it, but it's just like I just want to go there tomorrow. I'm less than, you know, this time tomorrow I will be just watching the opening credits of Star Wars. You know, so I want to go there not knowing anything. You know, I want to go there not knowing anything at all. And you know, so I'm anyone at work is so funny. You get like an instant message at work. They go, I hear Star Wars. I'm like, no, shut up, not this thing.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's so funny trying to stay away, but you know, it's going to be worth it tomorrow when I just sit there and watch that text scroll.
Yeah. I saw one thing this morning, and it was worrying. And it said Star Wars has premiered or whatever, and the verdict is ... you know, for you to click. And I was like, thank goodness they didn't say what the verdict is, because I don't really want to know. Well, I don't want to know. And I was just like, this is just too dangerous. And I was just looking at, you know, a page that I wouldn't have expected that to be on, and it was just a bit scary. And I'm like you, I want to be completely unblemished with any kind of expectation, whether it is good or bad. You know, at the moment, I'm just hoping it's going to be good, but I don't want to see loads of comments or loads of reviews saying, you know, oh, what a turkey, or even that it's excellent. I don't want to see it either way. I just want to see it myself.
Absolutely, and that was it. You know, it was funny because one of the guys at work, he was like, "Oh, you know, have you heard the reviews?" I was like, "Don't want to know. Don't tell me. Talk to me on Friday." You know, on Friday, people can talk to me, can talk Star Wars at me all day. You know, but for tomorrow, you know, just until tomorrow, I'm just going to keep it. I'm going back to my bunker after this.
What's your itinerary again? So you're seeing it tomorrow?
So I'm seeing it tomorrow. I'm now seeing it. I'm seeing it tomorrow. I will be seeing it potentially on Friday. I'm going Saturday and Sunday morning.
Hurrah!
So I'm going to be at least 3 or 4 times by the end of the weekend.
I hope it's good for your sake.
Oh, me too, because I've got different groups of friends going at different times, so, you know, I have to go and sit through it. If it's a turkey, I've got to go and sit through it, you know, another 3 times, but I can feel it in my bones that I don't think it is.
Is each set of friends that will be seeing it for the first time?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So if it is brilliant or bad, I suppose you'll be scanning their reactions throughout.
Absolutely.
At those good bits, at those twisty bits.
Indeed, I've said that I won't, you know, sit there going, oh, you got to watch this bit, you know, like tap them on the leg or anything.
Yeah, look at this bit. And
then here it comes, here it comes.
And they like miss it because they turn to look at you when you do that.
So no, it's going to be good. So Friday is with Nicola. We'll go there, we'll watch it, then we'll come out, have a Five Guys, and it's really funny because there was a post from one of the AMC cinemas in the US, and they were actually asking people that when they're coming out of the cinema, and I think this is something that we should all do, but when you're coming out of the cinema, don't talk about the movie until you're kind of clear of the cinema, because there's going to be people coming in, and if you're there going, oh my god, I can't believe it was so cool that and this and that, and people are you could potentially spoil it for people who are right there, right about to take their seat. So therefore, I thought that was quite cool. I thought that was quite a good little kind of warning, and the hype for it is just incredible, isn't it? It's everywhere. The hype is just, I don't know about you, but I haven't been this excited for ages. I just cannot wait until tomorrow.
Yeah, wow. And have a care for me. I've got to wait till Saturday.
Wowzers.
I know, I've got to wait till Saturday.
So I got some new Dark Bunny tees. I like that website, Dark Bunnies.
Yeah.
Dark Bunny tees. They said I got another T-shirt. So I have a different T-shirt for every showing. I got one of their. They do a really cool line. They're called Me and Friends. The line is called, and it's basically like Boba Fett standing there with all of the bounty hunters, but it kind of looks like it's been drawn by a kid. And they're fantastic. And I've always kind of dismissed them, but I saw them like the other day when I was looking for new Star Wars T-shirts, and I was like, do you know what? That is amazing. They have a Guardians of the Galaxy one that is just awesome. They have an Aliens one and a Ghostbusters one. They do some really cool T-shirts. So I got one of those. That arrived today. So I have a different T-shirt for every day.
Wow, I love it. Like Einstein, they say. I only learned this from watching The Fly. With Jeff Goldblum, but he had all his clothes were the same, so we didn't have to bother thinking. But you just get them all with the same theme that's appropriate at the moment, and you don't have to think. You just know you've got 7 days worth of Star Wars stuff to wear.
Absolutely, that's it. So my week has just been full of Star Wars. Basically, I've been catching up on the comic books, the Marvel comic books that are a real must read. They're kind of happening at the moment. They're kind of set between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Really, really good. There must be Star Wars and Empire because Han Solo's in it. And they're really cool. They're really good reads. So I've been reading that, and I've been watching Star Wars as well. So I've got the whole Blu-ray set out, and I started kind of going through 1, 2, and 3, but I really have just skipped. I'm just like, oh, this is a good bit, which lasted about 5 minutes.
Pod race was good.
The credits are good. No, so I managed to go through those, but then I kind of sat down and I started watching, A New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi was yesterday, and it's just so I'm officially up to date. Not that I wasn't, but I'm officially up to date and ready for Star Wars.
Wow, fantastic! I was going to say I really wanted to do that, but I haven't got around to it, which is terrible because I haven't watched Empire and Jedi as much as you,
right?
By any means, and it's Star Wars is episode. See, I even call it just Star Wars. So episode 4 and New Hope is the one that I've just watched, and I love it.
Right.
So it's weird, I know the other two films, but probably obviously not as well as people that watched them loads. And I started watching Empire Strikes Back, I think I told you a few weeks ago, and I was like, wow, this is so good, because I know you say that's one of your favourite films of all time.
It is,
if not your favourite film of all time.
It is. It's top of the list. And I was thinking, I'd see what Antony means. How did I forget about this? So I really need to watch those again. I don't know if I'm going to. What are we now? Wednesday. I got till Saturday morning at 9:30. So maybe I'll do it on Thursday night. You could do it. You got Thursday night, Friday night.
Yeah, but could do. Could do. I don't know about Friday, but I could watch it on Thursday. Jedi, I know, but it's Empire's my weak link. I haven't watched it enough. Yes. So I might have to watch that. Yeah.
It's just such a great movie. I sat and rewatched it, and it's so good. It's quite funny because when I was clearing out my loft the other day, I found Star Wars Trivial Pursuits. I got Star Wars Trivial Pursuits, and I remember playing it with a couple of friends. This shows how nerdy I am. I remember playing it with a couple of friends, and in one question, I got all the cheeses. Just in one, in one go. Not one question, obviously. In one go, I just kept getting the answers right. So then we obviously abandoned that game because it wasn't fun for anyone but me. But we abandoned that game, but then we had like a 3-question rule, so you could only answer 3 questions, and then you had to move on to the next person. But it's just such fun, you know. And when I found out, I just kind of was going through the questions and just answering them before looking at the back, and I was just like, I know too much about these movies. If only I could dump that information and fill it with worthwhile stuff, you know. I'm just like, and it's just so much fun. It's just so much fun. Yeah. So what else have you been up to this week?
Yeah, I don't know really. I was just staggered at that you're completing it on one go, and the fact that a process had to be put into place to mitigate your victory. I was just chuckling to myself at that. You caught me on the hop then.
It was just so cool. There was 3 of us. There was 3 of us where we just sat around the table. We just played it, and it was just about 45 minutes of me just answering Star Wars questions, you know, and then everyone else just going, "Yeah, I knew that one. Yeah, I knew that one."
This isn't even a game. This is just asking Tony questions.
Yeah, it's just Tony showing off. But it was really cool.
Like Norris McGuire on Record Breakers in the old days.
That should have been the record, you know. Man finishes Trivial Pursuits on 1 round.
Yeah. You can shuffle the cards as much as you like. He'll roll the dice and he'll ace it. The good thing about that is you don't need anyone else around to play. You can actually play on your own and have just the same kind of game as you would with other people.
You've seen my Saturday nights then.
Fantastic. Yeah, my week. I don't know. I haven't really done much. I've been a bit busy. I've obviously been playing some games, but usually I've got some kind of gaming related tale, haven't I? But I think for the first time in over 6 months, the cupboard of anecdotes is bare. I don't know.
Have no gaming anecdotes.
I don't think so. It's bad, isn't it?
Well, what have you been playing this week then?
I've been playing 4 fine games. Right. Fallout 4. Still enjoying that. Roaming about, shooting stuff, and not really doing any of the extra stuff that's available. As I've discussed, you know, still not use my power armor. It's as if it breaks.
Are you still doing the story mode? Is that still dragging you down a path?
No, I've dived off that path, and I've just been. It's I've just had a hunger for leveling up. I've just one more level sort of thing. I just find some like objective that definitely isn't story. Go there, shoot everything, and then keep doing that until I get to extra levels. I was a bit disappointed with like one aspect of it, that I thought that there was kind of a place that seems like it's going to be an arena. And I thought, this will be really cool. You know, like in is it Oblivion? There's an arena. You know,
right.
And there's different. Like I thought it was going to be like a gladiator thing.
Right.
But it didn't turn out that way. It was just sort of like just shoot the place up. And a lot of objectives in it are a bit much like just shoot the place up. But but you know, it's kind of fun to do it. But yeah, I was thinking, I started to think, is that all there is? But anyway, still enjoying it.
Right.
And Star Wars, I've not got much more to say on that. You know, it's good fun. Still,
yes.
Servers are still there. You know, servers are still there. So are the people. Had to go on Jakku the other day. Got slaughtered. And then went.
I must admit, you know, for me, it's kind of all I've been playing. You know, shocker, but it's kind of all I've been playing. I've just been kind of, you know, dipping it because I've been watching the movies and doing all of that. Kind of my time's been taken up with that. But whenever I'm gaming, I just want to play Star Wars.
Has that been satisfying your appetite for the film? The fact that
absolutely, you know, I've uncovered. I was playing Supremacy the other day, and there was a map on Tatooine that I'd never played before, and it had a AT-AT that was on its side.
Wow.
As if it had just crashed, and it was just amazing. And I was just, although that might have been that might have been the drop pod. So drop pod on Tatooine, the level has an AT-AT just kind of on its side, and you can run up it. And I'm just like, I'm constantly wowed by that game, and I just do that kind of random mode rotation, and I'm just jumping in, and it's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good fun. My time has been more on Fallout than Star Wars, so I'm probably pretty rubbish. But we'll have to have another game. Sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. I did notice that on, I don't think it's on one of our news items, but I did notice that on Xbox, if you are a gold member, they've got 33% off.
Oh, wow.
So it's going for, I think it's like about £36. I think I tweeted it out from the Last Spark account. I think it's going for about £36 at the moment, and then that's up until the 21st of December. So you still got some time when this comes out. But if you're kind of sitting on the fence and you've got an Xbox, then it's definitely it's worthwhile jumping in.
Yeah, £36 and you don't have to get up to change the disc.
Yep.
It's all right.
There you go.
Yeah, talking about changing discs, my PS4 started spitting discs out again.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's annoying. Spat Fallout 4 out a couple of times. It spat Star Wars out, which is really annoying because it takes you back to the menu. So if you're in the middle of a multiplayer game,
yes, of course.
Not that I was the key player, but even if I was, it's imagine that you're leading the charge, like Faramir or something, or from Lord of the Rings, onward, ride to ruin, and you're like heading, just blasting everybody out the way, and all of a sudden it just goes, the beep of your PlayStation, it spits the game out, and you're back at the menu. And it's like really frustrating. So I don't know, it's really annoying. Another design fault on consoles that it's not just me. So what I've done now is I put a coaster under the left and right feet so that there's nothing under, because a lot of websites say that the problem points to the foot in the middle. It's sort of offset, but it's the foot that's under the disc tray. Mm-hmm. So I've put a coaster on either of the left and right feet to lift so that there's no weight under the middle. And I'm hoping that's going to work, so we'll see what happens. But it's just so bad when it does that. It's another argument for digital, because you don't have to worry about that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's quite interesting to say about your kind of PS4, because my PS4, on Saturday, I kind of sat down, tried to turn on my PS4, wouldn't turn on from the controller. So the controller, it was flashing white, and then it went orange. The little, I've got a sticker over mine, so it just looks like the bat symbol on my little kind of on that little light on the controller. So I was kind of doing that. It wouldn't turn on my PlayStation 4, so I turned on the PlayStation 4, plugged the USB in, nothing. And I found that I had a quick look on the internet and kind of found some different things, but I found that there's a little reset button by the left trigger that you have to kind of push down and then you reset it. But they were saying one of the causes could be your router. And it was interesting because on Saturday, when we were like kind of Christmas decorating the house and tidying the house, I switched the router over. So I've got a new home hub, because my home hub 4 seemed to only give me like 30-40 meg download, and I thought maybe the work in the house, dust had got into it or something like that. So BT gave me a brand new home hub 5, so I plugged that in and it went back up to 75, which was quite nice. But I think it might have interfered with the PlayStation, because when I was looking, one of the fixes was turn off your router, because there could be the frequency or the channel. It was like change the channel on your router or turn your router off. But luckily the reset did it. I was just like, how bizarre is that? It was just like, but it was a really weird one for a while.
Wow, imagine that. So the frequency of your router interferes with your gaming pad.
Interferes with your controller. Yeah, it was really weird.
Like with the Bluetooth frequency, I presume. That's really odd. And it's like, well, but you've got to change it. But that's the best frequency for my router. I'd half the speed if I change the frequency. Yeah. What a choice. You'd have to half the speed, though, when you wanted to game.
It was just bizarre. It was like, so Star Wars, I mean, like I say, kind of covering kind of a bit what I've been playing, but I'm just like, I'm jumping in, rotation, love the new Jakku map, love that kind of new point. We were talking about that last week. But I just can't get enough of it, and I'm really hoping that with the hype of the film that we just get an announcement sometime after Christmas, or kind of directly after Christmas, before the end of the year, we get an announcement of what some of the DLC is going to be, or kind of a feel for it, because I can feel it coming. I can feel it in my bones that there's a new one coming. Maybe that's just me being excited for Star Wars, but I'd love to know what they're going to do next.
Yeah, I'd like to see that they announce something. If it was me, I'd announce something tomorrow. Tomorrow's the official release, isn't it?
Yes.
So that would be me. I'd say let's be working on something. It wouldn't have to be massive, but let's work on some kind of, something exciting to unleash with the film. And I'd say make it free, but I'm not EA. So yeah, it'd be really cool if they announce something tomorrow to coincide with the release of the film. All players get this, but make sure that this isn't a spoiler for the film.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do indeed.
Imagine if it was. It's like, all players get this. I am your father, sort of thing. It's like, you what?
You get to play as Force Awakens Darth Vader. You're like, no!
yeah. And it's just the biggest twist ever. And it's like, yeah, but you could do this in the game. Isn't that amazing? And it's like you heard 1,000 cries all shout out and then go silent. I forget the actual quote.
I'd love it as if you're watching Star Wars, like where you're watching Force Awakens, and then a little thing pops up at the bottom, like, you can play this level in Star Wars Battlefront tomorrow.
Yeah, like product placement all the way through it.
Yeah, adverts all the way through. Like, ding, you can pre-order BB-8 right now. And they were just like, oh, God, that would just be the worst thing. But I must admit, when I was playing Star Wars Battlefront and watching Empire Strikes Back, I have to say, hats off to DICE, because when you're playing Hoth on Star Wars Battlefront, it feels just like that movie. I know you said it before as well, that's kind of what you've always wanted to do. And you were spot on, because when I was watching Empire, I was just like, this is what it's like. This battle that I'm watching here, this is exactly what it's like in they've got the sound, they've got the feel, they've got the level. I was like, that's exactly what it feels like when I'm playing Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah, you've been there.
So I was just like,
it's like, I've been here.
Yeah.
Your attention to detail is so meticulous.
Yeah.
It's you can look at Hoth, and it's just wow. I always thought, I thought you couldn't beat Rogue Leader. I know I sort of harp on about Rogue Leader on the GameCube, but it's unbelievable what they've done. And
yes.
Yeah, it's a bit shallow, as we've discussed. We don't have to get into it now, but it's a base they can build on, hopefully to everybody's satisfaction, and we'll see what happens with it, won't we?
Absolutely. So what else have you been playing?
Yeah, so I had a bit of a blowout and bought some new games. They were only cheap. I got Undertale, that I mentioned that I'd been playing the demo. I just keep hearing about it so much. And I had the laptop out, which is rare. And I was just like, let's just have a look on Steam and see how much Undertale is. And it was only something like, it might have just been $6.99. I don't even know if it was pounds, so it wasn't very much. And I thought, I've got to get it. I've got a feeling I'm going to love this game. So I got that, which meant I had to install Steam, because the last time I had Steam was when Half-Life 2 came out. So that's a little while ago. So I installed Steam onto the laptop and got Undertale and started playing it. Unfortunately, I haven't got any further than I'd played the demo at the moment, so I can't talk about it as to whether it's so as good as people say or not. But I'm sort of quietly confident it's going to be. And then I also, and I tweeted about this as well because I thought it was such a bargain. After we spoke with James about Her Story, I had a look on the web for that. I was going to get it on PC, and on the official website, I noticed you could get it on iOS.
Right.
So I had a look on the iPad, and it was there, and it was on offer, reduced. I don't know what it was reduced from, but it was about £1.50. So I downloaded that as well, and I had a go of Her Story. And it's really good. It's really good. I haven't completed it yet, but I played it for about an hour before I got distracted with something else. And yeah, it's really good. It's the basis.
What is it? What is the game? I mean, for the people, for me and the uninitiated, what is Her? Because obviously it won a lot on the Video Game Awards, and I'm hearing a lot, seeing a lot about it. What is it? What kind of game is it?
What it is, it's sort of a full motion video game. Okay. So, remember they didn't ever used to be any good, but really this isn't trying to be a playable game. So what it is, you're a detective and you're reviewing footage of an interview for a murder and so the interviews are all with the suspect. Now that could be bracket because I don't know. I've only seen the one suspect so far.
Right.
And so it just starts, and it's set in 1994. Mm-hmm. So it's got a bit of a dated look to it. So it's as if the interface is as if you're working on the police computer.
Right.
And you're going through that computer to search for video footage to look for clues. So it starts off, I think there's a clip already there, and you watch it, and so the actress, the Her, as in Her Story, she then proceeds to start giving her story, or an alibi, if you like. And then when it finishes, it ends, and you've got basically a primitive Google search engine. It's kind of a test of your search engine skills, the game. It's testing your search skills as a detective to uncover clues and evidence within the interview footage to presumably convict. I mean, that's what I'm presuming it is, because I haven't got that far into it. And it got me hooked, and I knew Claire would like it too. And I said, Claire, you've got to try this, and we'll do it together. And so as soon as we watched that video, I was like, right, you hold it, babe, because this is something that I'm sure you'll be able to do. There's no controls. We're just trying to solve the case. And she was like, oh, that sounds interesting. So we watched the first video, and it was like, right, so now you just push here, and then we need to search. And so she'd mentioned some stuff, and it's like, so she said she'd mentioned a pub, or she'd mentioned another person, and said, I mean, I can't quote this because I can't remember, but it's like, yeah, so Chris down the road was always looking at me. So she mentioned that, so then you looked at Chris. and then it brings up, and it limits your search. When you search for video footage, it limits what it brings up, the search returns, to 5 instances.
Right.
So it will say, say you looked up Chris, for example, and it'll bring up the first 5, but it'll say 5 of 30. So what I think that means is that you would have to drill down with more description to get to perhaps a more interesting video that you'd need that isn't in the first 5. Because there'd be another 25 that would need other keywords to make them come up instead of the first 5.
Right.
So you've got to sift and fish through it. And it's dead good, you know. It hooks you. The lady who plays the lady in the game, Viva Sifa, she won the Best Performance Award, didn't she, at the Game Awards?
Yeah, she did.
For it. And there's this bit of it that I uncovered, and basically one of the clips, she's there at the table in the room, and it's like a police interview room, and she's got a guitar on the table, and she's like, sort of, what, you want me to play it? She's like, okay. And she just picks it up and she sings this song, just on an acoustic guitar, and it's totally got into my head. It's called The Wind and the Rain, or The Dreadful Wind and Rain, it's called. And yeah, it's just really cool. So she sang it. I like acoustic tunes like that anyway. It's an old folk tune apparently, and that just stuck in my head. So I was thinking, maybe I could play that. It seems pretty simple. There's not many chords in it. So I looked it up, and I thought it would be a song just written for the game, but it's not. It's I think it's an old folk song, but there's I found the tab online of Dreadful Wind and Rain, and this version, I think there's other versions, but the version I found was by Jerry Garcia and David Grisman, and I watched them like playing it on a YouTube sort of live, sort of folksy guys with massive beards before it was trendy. It was probably maybe last time it was trendy, and I was like, yeah, this is fantastic. So I sort of got the chords, and I've been messing about on my guitar just singing this song because it just stuck in my head. It's quite a simple song.
Wow, that's really good. That's really powerful, isn't it? If it's made you do that as well.
Yeah, and that, you know, yeah, it just sort of got you hooked. And the way she did it as well, I just thought, at first I was just like, oh, look at her showing off her extra portfolio on the game, that she's a bit of a singer as well, but I just liked it. And wow. I don't know whether the lyrics hook in with the game, because she sort of says, oh, it gets a bit weird now. And I don't know if, because I haven't played it enough yet, and I wouldn't say anyway. But yeah, I was like, oh, I liked that, and so now I'm going to sort of like try and learn it. If I learn it quite well, I might sing it, record a verse or something to stick it on the end of a podcast or something like that. And
that'd be so cool. You could play us out live.
Yeah, on the dreadful wind and rain. Yeah, torture everybody. But I might do it just for the hell of it. So yeah, so her story. It's really cool, and it's worth a look if you're interested in it. If it's still on sale, what's £1.50? And like James said, he said it's like 2 hours of good fun, and it hooked me straight away. It's just that I got distracted that evening with other things, so I had to stop playing it. But it's there, and I'm going to start again next time and just do it all in one session. It's really cool, Antony. You should have a go. Sit down with Nicola. I bet you both love it. It's brilliant.
That sounds fantastic. No, it sounds really good. And it also sounds like something that maybe I could do, like big picture mode or whatever it's called on Apple TV, when you can kind of download it on the iPad, put it onto the TV, and we can both just sit there using the iPad as an interface. That just sounds so cool.
Yeah, it is really good. Oh,
I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yeah, and it's on PC as well. You can get it through Steam, I think, or through I think it's from Steam. And yeah, it's just good, and you it's just dead basic, and you press play on the video, and you listen to what she's got to say, and you're just like, right, okay, so let's look here. And before you know it, the story's unfolding before your eyes, and it's starting to twist, and you're starting to get suspicious, and you're starting to try and second guess, and it's just a nice dynamic, and it's good to see that kind of game done well. And it's good to see that it's had a mention on the Game Awards, and it's had some momentum for people to sort of recognise it, and for it to get there above the white noise. So yeah, well worth a look.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I'll do that.
Yeah. What about you? What have you been playing?
Well, like I say, I've been playing Star Wars Battlefront. On Saturday. Played a couple of games of that. I spent the entire day Saturday just like putting the house back together after all the work, and I was so tired, but I managed to play some Star Wars. And then I was on the Xbox. I was just checking something because I was looking for the new. I was looking for the update to Fallout as well, because there was supposed to be an update to that, but mine didn't update for some reason. I don't know if it's out yet on Xbox One. But I was just having a look around, fired up Batman to see if the new DLC was out, because there's supposed to be a gallery of rogues that's supposed to be coming to the last piece of DLC, and that was December. So I had a quick look. That wasn't there, and then Rare Replay caught my eye, and I was like, I'm just gonna have a quick Rare Replay. So I fired up Rare Replay, and I was playing Cameo. So I kind of got Cameo out because I know Cameo. I was looking for something that was going to give me that kind of. I didn't know how long I would last before I fell asleep. So I was just playing Cameo, and oh my God, I was enjoying that game so much. It was just really good, because especially at the start of Cameo, you just kind of, as it opens, you just kind of go straight into it, don't you?
You've got everything, haven't you? You've got all the powers and everything at the start.
Got all your powers, so you're jumping, shifting, punching, and also, and I think it had been in my head because one of the chaps from the Rare team, a chap, his Twitter handle is Taskbar Architect. He's been doing some walkthroughs on a Sunday, and I've been following them. They're on YouTube. I'll put a link in the notes because they're really quite. He's got a great sense of humor. They're quite entertaining, and you kind of just watch him kind of play different parts of Cameo, and I think it had just been in the back of my head for a week going, I must play Cameo, I really must play Cameo. So Saturday I just kind of sat down, played Cameo, and I was just really enjoying it. I'm just like, it's definitely one of those games that I've got a big backlog, but it's definitely one of those games that I'm just going to keep jumping into because I was really just genuinely enjoying it.
Yeah, I like Cameo. I'd say you'll be the man to correct me, best looking Rare game. You're going to say Viva Pinata?
You could just see my mouth go
aghast.
Viva Pinata. Viva Pinata, Trouble in Paradise, I think is. But no, I actually think that Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts is kind of is the until we get the new one. I think Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts is the best looking Rare game because it's the textures, it's the clouds, everything looks like it's just hanging from, and it's amazing.
It's a great style. Game, it is a great style.
Yeah. But that was it, though. And that's always been it, isn't it? With Rare games, they always stand out because they are. You're right. Cameo was just incredible. And I remember getting my Xbox 360 and playing that and going, wow, this is fantastic, because it really did kind of felt like it was next gen back then.
That was a system seller. I remember, and I didn't have an HD telly when I got my 360, and so I was playing Cameo on standard def, and then I got my HD telly and played Cameo, and I was like, wow.
Yes. I think the same thing happened to my brother-in-law. He was playing Viva Pinata, the original one, on a kind of a standard def TV, and then came round to my house, and he was just like, I didn't realise that did that, and I didn't realise those textures. And he I think on his way home, he bought a brand new TV because it was such a difference. And he just said it was almost like just kind of putting a pair of glasses on when you had that difference, and it was amazing. But yeah, they're all really good. But yeah, no, Cameo's really kind of got its hooks into me. And then the last game that I've been playing, and I played a lot of it actually last week, and probably all I can say was The Division. So I've been playing The Division on an alpha. We are NDA'd, so you can't really say much about it. But what I will say was I played a lot of it, and I think people are going to like it because it's what I played was very good.
Okay. Is it different enough to Star Wars then? Because it's quite similar, I would have thought.
Totally different.
Okay.
Totally different from Star Wars. That there is a single player narrative that you can do on your own.
Right.
So which was it's really good. I was really like I say, I thought I would, because with most alphas you kind of like, I'll jump in, have a quick go, see what everything's like, and then I'll get out. But this one really grabbed me. I played it. Like I say, I played it a lot. One of the reasons probably why I haven't played Fallout, and I'm not saying it's better than Fallout, but one of the reasons why I probably haven't played a lot of Fallout this week or any Fallout this week is because between Star Wars and that and it really got me. It was just really cool. So I'm quite excited for it.
Well, you've got to spend your time wisely. The Division, you've got a set amount of time that you can play that for, and then it will be gone. So that's understandable, isn't it? Fallout, you can get to grips with whenever you want. So
absolutely. I mean, Friday is my last day at work until the kind of after Christmas. So, that's when I'm kind of planning to do some serious gaming.
Wow, serious gaming. Crikey, man. Fallout can just suck all your hours. It's just, just wandering around, shooting stuff and finding stuff and making your own stuff up to do could just suck such an amount of time away. It's quite phenomenal, really. It's a good game. It's a good game.
Yes, absolutely. Superb. Right, so should we get to the news?
Yeah.
And in this week's news, we're going to talk about Kojima. He's finally surfing now that he's free from the shackles of Konami. We've got some new game announcements. Dr. Richard Marks has also been predicting VR sales. And, Destiny's at it again. Oh, dear. But we'll get to that in a bit. Let's get to some good news first. And the good news is that Bethesda has opened a brand new studio in Montreal. So the developers of Fallout 4 and Elder Scrolls, that we've just been talking about, have opened up a new studio in Montreal. This studio it consists of about 40 developers, and they're going to be focused on console and mobile development. A lot of speculation online when this news happened just before the weekends. A lot of speculation that we were going to get some kind of Fallout 4 version of New Vegas, because they now have two studios that are going to be working on that. And the lead of this studio is the chap who worked on Fallout Shelter. He also worked on Castle Wolfenstein: The New Order, which is a great game. So we've got some good pedigree in that studio, and of course everyone was thinking straight away that, does it mean there's going to be another Fallout game? Are we going to New Vegas it?
Yeah, I never like it when they announced that they're concentrating on the mobile arena.
Yes, that was the kind of little bit of a...
That was the kicker. Yeah, it's like trying to shiver up my spine.
But Fallout Shelter was quite good, though, wasn't it?
I liked it a lot. And I thought their approach to the in-app purchases was good as well. So, I can't fault their approach there. So, yeah, they did do it well.
But it's very interesting because Montreal is really becoming quite a hotbed, isn't it, of titles. Obviously, you've got Ubisoft there, EA, you have a studio there. The chaps behind Gearbox, the chaps behind Borderlands, have just announced that they're moving there as well. They're starting up a studio there, so maybe that's to focus maybe on Battleborn or Borderlands 3. So there's lots of studios opening there. So it really is kind of a hotbed of gaming goodness.
Yeah, I wonder how it would work, because maybe they'd leave the guys that have finished Fallout 4 to develop the next expansion, stroke DLC or whatever it's going to be. Maybe new studio could mean new IP.
Yeah, no, it could. I mean, we've got that Cyborg. Is it Cyberpunk 2020, 2012 or something?
Yeah, that's from CD Projekt Red, though.
Oh, no, sorry, wrong developer, so I'll shut up. So Bethesda. They've got to be working on an old Elder Scrolls game as well, haven't they? Do you think they'll flip-flop between kind of Fallout 4 and Elder Scrolls?
Yeah, they may do. I sort of could do with a change.
Right.
I mean, Skyrim, I thought was quite a lot, very similar to Oblivion, to the point that it didn't drag me along so much. I know lots of people love Skyrim. I'm talking about Skyrim here on the Xbox 360. I know on the PC it's been modded and looks absolutely stunning.
Yes.
But that's not... I mean, the graphics are a lot, but I don't know. So I'd like them to bring that Bethesda quality to some other kind of... give it a different slant than just flip-flopping, because Fallout... I wouldn't really want Fallout 5 to be more of the same sort of textures and colours that we've had here. I think after Fallout 4, I'd really like... As fun as it is, and after 5 years, it's probably going to be okay, because you'll be ready for another go. But it's kind of like, we've had... Well, there was Morrowind and what have you, and then the big one on consoles was Oblivion, and we had Fallout 3, and then we've had Skyrim, and we've got Fallout 4. And, they're kind of very similar in the way that you play them, aren't they? Well, I suppose... I'm not saying that...
Yes.
Yeah, you could start arguing here that it's like, well, anything FPS is the same, but they've sort of got a distinctive Bethesda feel. I don't know. Certainly, maybe it would refresh it just if they had a new engine, because the character faces always remind me of Oblivion as well, the models and that. So I don't know. I mean, if it's the same guys, I don't know what the staff turnover's like, but there's the one hand that they're amazing at their craft, and so they may just enjoy it because they're artisans of what they do. But there's the other hand that they might be craving a change. It takes a long time to make a game. They've been working on Oblivion took years, Skyrim took years, Fallout 3 took years, Fallout 4 took years, and they might be all sort of hankering for sort of, it'd be very refreshing to give them something different to do. I'm not suggesting what, but it'd just be nice to see the Bethesda stamp on a different angle, maybe.
Maybe a Cyberpunk game, so my mistake isn't too bad.
If it was something like Cyberpunk 2033 or whatever it's called, that would be fantastic.
But obviously, we're definitely going to have DLC for Fallout 4, so maybe someone's doing that as well. But I'll be really interested to just see if like you say, they do just take time, and because we don't want the Fallout 4 games. They are kind of, they do span about 5 years in between sometimes. So that's just time for them. Yeah, there's time just to kind of refresh the engine and kind of do some stuff there. I did jump back into Fallout 4 last week, and I'm still, when you're walking around, it looks stunning, doesn't it? It's kind of when you kind of come up against people or go into...
It's the character models, really, I think.
It really is, yeah. They could take the current current environment and just replace new character models or update it. And but yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but it's just interesting. Fallout 4 has shifted, about 12 million copies since it was released, so they definitely got some cash to spend on maybe. But like I say, the rumours, everyone's speculation when you were reading the comments on the Eurogamer article was all about maybe we're going to get a New Vegas style something. That was quite interesting. It seems what people are craving.
I'm sure there will be, because New Vegas came out to much applause. So I'm sure they'll be doing that because it would just make sense. But the great thing about this story is it's a studio opening rather than a studio closing. It's great to see that, a studio's been successful, they're bringing out the games, and then they're not closing the doors because they, too much money was spent and all the rest of it, or being acquired by somebody else. They're expanding. It's great news because, as I say, as we know, they take such a long time to make. It's a big gamble. There's so much money that goes into these games if they're not profitable. Studios can open and close in the blink of an eye. And it's just nice to see good news about studios expanding. I'm such a devil's advocate. On the other hand, we don't want it to be dominated by like 3 or 4 main ones that take over the world, because competition is always good. But it's good news instead of hearing like, whoever it is has closed after releasing this game because not enough people bought it, even though it's a good game, etc. And I'm trying to think of an example as I say that, and I've probably got loads.
We saw at E3 that Bethesda had their own press conference, didn't they? Because they've got a lot of IPs that they're kind of they're releasing. We've got Doom coming next year. That looks like a ton of fun. Obviously we've got Fallout 4 and all of its expansions, and the Elder Scrolls is somewhere, and they've also got Elder Scrolls Online. So they if you look at that kind of portfolio of it's quite diverse at the moment. But you're right, there could be something. Maybe something sci-fi rather than post-apocalyptic. That might be quite an interesting change for the devs and a change for to get that mechanic into another game.
Yeah. It's cool. And the next thing I've got is that apparently Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1 has already been done.
What?
Yeah.
Where is it? Why aren't I playing it?
Yeah, exactly. So this has been reported around several sites on the internet that there was an issue of Famitsu, which is a Japanese gamer magazine of great renown, and that reported that it's already done. So, as we know, it's going to be broken up into parts. We don't know how many. But yeah, it's been completed. So that's just really interesting. It's interesting to know it's completed until we know how much it's going to be, and they release some information of how much is included. That's sort of the floodgates are still closed.
Yeah.
So, but knowing that it's ready indicates that they must have been either it's a short episode, or they were already working on it prior to the announcement at E3. Which I'm not sure if you agreed with me, but I was saying, I think we both agreed. We thought that, they've announced it, but they haven't even started working on it. at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was news to the games director, the guy who's directing for Final Fantasy VII, that he was directing it when they made the announcement at E3. I thought that was the kind of... no one told that guy what he was working on, so I just don't think they were working on it then.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I thought, we haven't got any... Sony thinking, we haven't got any exclusives, what we're going to do, we'll just give them this. But it looks like there may be something tangible there. After all, there was fire as well as smoke, if you like, with the announcement. There was something going on in the background. And actually, one of the websites that I got the information from, gematsu.com, looks like they've added some information. There's an update on here. So I'm reading this. I haven't read it. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read these into extra pieces of information out now live. So let's see what they say. They want to delve deeper into Biggs, Wedge and Jesse characters. They've got an idea about the number of installments that will be released, but they're not at the stage where they can say anything. They're not talking about online right now. My instant reaction to that is good. I just want it to be a single player experience. If they want to make Final Fantasy VII online, have it separate. In fact, that'd be something that, and obviously this is just off the cover, that'd be something that I'd want, like kind of like the forward operating base things. It's like you've got your Final Fantasy, and then if you want, like Borderlands, you start up and you're playing. It doesn't affect your single player. Do you know what I mean? So that's interesting. I certainly don't try and make it subscribe thing. But anyway, the scenario of the first part up until its ending is already complete. Wow. So I think that might mean the first disc.
Well, does that mean, when they leave, what's the name of the main place at the start of the game? And when
Midgar.
They leave that, you kind of... Yeah. So do you think that maybe the first episode will take us... That's a nice conclusion, isn't it? That's a nice stop
Depending
point.
how much detail they add. The first disc had more than that, I'm sure of it.
But if you think about it, if they just model that area, everything's working, there's plenty of gameplay there, and then release it, and then you've got something. But the thing that worries me, and I've been listening and reading a lot about Final Fantasy VII because I'm very excited about it, but I want to make sure that we're not paying, we don't end up paying like £120 or $120 for the whole thing, where they bring it out episodically and start, charging you £25-30 per episode, and also that it gets finished. As well, I don't want to be here in a couple of years' time and you and I are potting going, God, we wish that episode 4 was out, and it left us. I want to make sure that they finish it because look at Final Fantasy 15. They went back and they updated the demo. It's like, stop doing that and get the game out. And it's maybe, and I do find it. Even on projects that I work on, I find that when you're so close to something, does the release date of this slip and we make sure that it's perfect, or do we get it out and then kind of, and there's always that, and are they just going to go, oh, it's not ready, and it just kind of keeps going back and back while we've just played that one episode.
It's almost like if they can't, they should have an idea, if they've got project managers there, haven't they, and producers and what have you, so they should have an idea that each episode will take X amount of time. If they've done episode 1, then depending where that stops, I mean, that's the game. It's got, if episode 1 includes all the facets, all the assets and all the facets that they're going to use in the game, then they're like, right, okay, and that would have probably been the hardest bit because coming to getting used to the technology that they're using and things like that. As you use it more, you should get more au fait with it. So you'd think that they'll be like, right, this took a year, so the next one will be a year. But that just seems like too long to wait, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I don't think it will be. I don't think that the game 1, that the first episode of the season will have everything in it, and then episode 2, 3 and 4 is just a little bit of an update. I think you'll probably get episode 1 will be 18 to 20 gig, episode 2 will be the same, and you're going to be charged between £20 to £30 or dollars.
What about how many hours gameplay are you expecting in an episode then?
Yeah, well, I don't think you can look at Telltale. Don't look at kind of those games. I don't think it's going to be 90 minutes. I think you're going to have your 10, 14, 20 hours worth of gameplay in each of those episodes. So they're going to be kind of big stories. And if you look at Final Fantasy VII, and if you kind of chunk it up, you could kind of see where they're going to where the logical places would be to release episodes.
Yeah. I just worry about. I want the quality to be there. They say they're going to put more in, so they're breaking it up so they can sort of realise even more of what they were trying to do at the time, which fits with the technology we've got now, to make it sort of as good as you would expect it to be now, rather than you just playing it and thinking this is a bit shallow. It seems they're going to try and really flesh it out, which is fantastic. So even if you did just play to the end of Midgar in episode 1, which I think would be bad, because I don't think that's enough, but I'm saying that not knowing what they're going to put in, because they could make Midgar completely explorable, and then you've got obviously the opportunity to just grind, but you wouldn't want to be able to see, this would be an interesting dynamic. I wouldn't want my players of the game, if I was making it, I wouldn't want them to be able to grind their way while they were waiting for the next episode to come out so they could walk the next level. So you'd probably have to cap the levels, which is odd.
Yeah, so at some point it's going to just put a full stop to your gaming. It's not like you could just sit there for a year and play Final Fantasy VII Part 1
until you level 100.
While you wait for them
you could just walk over all the monsters in all the other ones. But the Midgar bit was quite linear. Yeah, it was quite linear.
Yeah.
And it was only after the Midgar, because I thought that was the whole game when I first played it. I was playing it and I was just doing this story in Midgar and I was loving it. And then when it zoomed out to a world map, I was just like amazed. It was a gaming moment for me that I was amazed at the. I was just amazed by it. I can't hardly put it into words. I was there then in the past, staring at my old CRT telly when it opened up, and I was like, wow. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't like to. I think you could be right with Midgar. That it'd just be such an awful cliffhanger there, because the ones like us that have played it, it'd be like, oh, but I just want to play a little bit more. But then you're always going to get that. I think one of the episodes will end up on a key part, which I don't really think it's a spoiler, but I'm not going to say it anyway. As the people that haven't played it,
because I guess this is going to open up brand new players, isn't it, to Final Fantasy VII? People that have never played it before, people who never got a PS1 or have never played it.
But people have been going on about the main spoiler in it for years now, because it's so touching. I was touched by it. It's one of my favourite characters in any game. I'm just so staggered that I can never find a figure of that particular character anywhere. It does my head in. I've got over here, I'm looking at Rinoa from Final Fantasy VIII, and I've got Tifa from Final Fantasy VII on my desk, along with the Pip-Boy bobblehead and a Killick from Soul Calibur. I could never find this character that I wanted, the Flower Girl. So yeah, who knows? But so there's some other stuff as well. What is it? So the scenario of the first part up until its ending is already complete. I feel like doing a quick search finding where the first disc ended.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but it was interesting because the producer of Final Fantasy VII, he did do an article, an interview this week, and one of the parts that he was saying was, this is a large game. It is the biggest game that we have ever embarked on. I mean, that doesn't say much for Final Fantasy 15 that's coming out. And also, will those games come out at the same time? Are they going to be kind of Final Fantasy 15 and 7? Are they going to be battling for space, for gaming space?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What else have we got here?
But the great thing is, it looked fantastic at the PlayStation experience. I would like to see E3 2016 for them to come out, because it definitely seems to be something that is being catered for a Western taste as well. E3 2016, they come out and say, episode 1 is available next week, and this is our release schedule. Do you know where they have months where they say, right, you get episode 1 in June, July, and then in September, October you get episode 2, in February you get episode 3, and that would be really cool if they came out and obviously stuck to those dates, but if they came out and told us exactly what we're going to get, then it was less of a Batman thing, which is kind of buy the season pass or we'll kind of give you stuff. I mean, they've in my eyes, I've got enough and then some from that, but I didn't know what I was letting myself in for. A bit like Star Wars right now. I don't know what I'm letting myself in for if I bought that season pass.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if they say, you're going to get 4 episodes, they'll all be out within the year, within the calendar year, and here, buy your season pass now. I'm sure that the likes of you and I, Daz, would probably just jump straight into that and go, and show the commitment that you're there and ready, that you want that full
because
game.
Of nostalgia, I'm just going to have to get it. It's really bad, unless they really, really annoy me with something. Even if it's like 30 quid an episode, I'm going to have to buy it. I've just done a quick check of my memory, and the first disc did end with the big twist, or the big event. So you got all that game up till that amazing moment. So that was the first disc. So if but they haven't said if they're going to do it like that, because the game came on 3 discs, which essentially is 3 parts because they finished at good bits each one. It was like the end of a chapter. It could easily be cut down into chapters within those chapters, if you like. But if they came out and said the first episode is going to end here, that's the first part. But they talk about how much they're going to add and how much depth of Midgard. Because, as I say, Midgard was very, very linear. You just followed it along. But what we saw at PlayStation Experience showed an explorable city.
Yes,
and this is where the ambition comes in. If they make Midgard a living, breathing city that you can explore, and there's going to be content there. It's not just vacuous. There's going to be content there, and you can get involved in and explore. And maybe they'll put side quests in. They're going to flesh out the characters, like they've said on this update. And if it was enough, I mean, maybe if they did that alone would be enough to make you happy. But I suppose we're just going to wait and see. They're also getting technological assistance from the Kingdom Hearts team with Unreal Engine 4. Because they've used that with Kingdom Hearts 3, which is also looking amazing. And it looks like they've borrowed a bit of the fighting from Kingdom Hearts 3, though I quite like the Final Fantasy 7 turn-based combat anyway. Cloud's hallucination scenes are going to be more meaningful. The cast, they're continuing plans with the voice actors from Advent Children, but that's not all set in stone yet. They're going to have limit breaks, but they're going to have another unique system that they can't show. And it's going to be different depending on the player's fighting style. So they've announced a few more things. I think that's sort of lasted in the last few hours that's come to light. So that's really interesting. That's all news to me.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, it's shaping up. It reads well. It's shaping up to be everything that everybody has wanted and then some. Ever since we got next generation consoles, Final Fantasy 7 has always been one of those ones that they just constantly kind of remake, and then now they have. It does sound like it's going to be quite special. It does sound like that, but I'll tell you something. If there's one thing that I've learned from Game of Thrones, it's that words are wind. So I'll wait until I see something tangible. Yes, until you have that game loading on your PS4 or Xbox
What
One.
you doing talking to me, Square? Words of wind. Deliver me some content. There's my King of Winterfell. Demanding that Square deliver me something tangible. And not just tangible, it's got to be good. There you go.
I'm lost for words. And on that, I mean, how can I follow that? But on that note, I'm going to follow that. And so the next piece of news is with me, and the cartographer has been gifting us. The cartographer has been good to us this month because we're getting a free update. We're getting a free update for what? For Halo 5 Guardians. So Halo 5 Guardians gets a free update. This is called the cartographer's gift, and this brings us Forge mode, which I know a lot of people love. It also gives a host of new weapons, armor sets, assassinations, and also new maps for both Warzone and Arena as well. So this is quite a gift. It's quite a. I mean, we knew that when Bonnie Ross came out at E3 and they announced Halo 5 Guardians, and the person who I think has just got the most amazing name, which is Kiki Wolfkill. She's one of the Halo team as well. So they came out and they said that they will be updating it, and we're getting free content for Halo 5. So we're getting this. And this, I think there was one that happened last month as well, which was the Battles of Shadow and Light, which gave you new rec packs and also gave you, of course, Big Team Battle. So this one, we're getting all of that stuff that I was talking about. We're also getting new Warzone maps. We're getting the Battle of Noctis, Arena maps, Overgrowth, and Big Team Battle gets Antifreeze and Entombed. And these are all going to be added to Halo 5 Guardians, and they will all be automated. They're keeping it nice and fresh.
Yeah, it's very generous, breaking with tradition of trying to sort of milk the cash cow of the gamers. It's great, isn't it? It's a lovely piece of news, and great for all the Halo 5 players out there.
I mean, it was even Bonnie Ross or Kiki Wolfkill that said that, what they want to do is not, which we were talking about with Star Wars, and that's not separate or make, separate the gaming, so that, you have those haves and haves not. So you're like, as you were painting the lovely picture of little Johnny a couple of weeks ago, you won't get there with Halo 5 because, he's paid his money up front, he did his paper round, he now gets, all of this stuff for free, so you don't get that disconnection.
Division.
Exactly, division. Thank you. Yeah, you just don't get that, and I just wish that Star Wars followed suit as well. But it's got Star Wars name, and Halo 5 is up against Star Wars. It's up against all of those games, up against Destiny. So they probably need to do stuff like this to keep people playing. And big team battles, great fun, and the fact that there's a couple of more maps for that rotation. It's all good.
It is all good. It is definitely all good. And it made me think then when you sort of said it's competing with Star Wars. I mean, I can't even imagine. I certainly haven't read about it or even tried to find out. The information might be out there, but how much EA paid for their 10-year Star Wars license? And sort of if we I bet that number's got a lot of zeros, and it's then if we knew that, we might have a little bit of sympathy of them and see why they're trying to have the DLC packs and stuff, because they're trying to, and why they had to get it out quickly anyway, but it is quality what they've given us. But you could probably understand their pricing model, because you're like, holy mackerel, they've got to get that money back somehow.
Yeah. But don't forget, it doesn't finish with Battlefront. We've got Jade Raymond is currently working on a new Star Wars game as well, isn't she? With the writer from the first two Uncharted. So both Jade Raymond and the lady's name escapes me at the moment, but the two of them, the lady who wrote Uncharted, they're working on a new Star Wars game, and at some point, please let Star Wars 1313 be resurrected as well, because that game just looked amazing. If they put Boba Fett into that character model for 1313, that would have been my ideal game.
Well, it was supposed to be Boba Fett, wasn't it? Rumour says.
Well, it was either going to be Boba Fett or Han Solo, so either way, they're my two favourite characters in Star Wars. You just throw R2-D2 in there and I'm sorted. But yeah, no, either way, I think, yeah, so there was, but that would have just been so cool. But they're working on, a third-person game, Star Wars action-adventure game for Star Wars, and, and it's, so, who knows? And I think we're going to see more games as well. I think, as you say, they probably spent a lot of money for that license, and they're going to bring out, Star Wars is going to be big, for the next 6 years. We've got Episode 7 tomorrow. We've got Rogue One, which I'm really excited about. I wish there was a trailer for Rogue One or a teaser for Rogue One. When you went and sat down and watched Force Awakens, that would be really cool. We've got continual stuff. So for the next 6 years, Star Wars. If this movie is good tomorrow, and it sets the new benchmark, Star Wars hype and Star Wars games are going to be, the sought after thing.
Yeah, this might be divisive, but for me, I didn't think Star Trek could do it. I went into watching that thinking this is going to be rubbish, but I really liked the way that they did it. I really liked the way that they did that sort of trans-dimensional aspect to re-kickstart the franchise. I thought it was good. Yeah. So some people, there's always going to be some people that don't like it. For me, I was just thinking this is brilliant. You're giving it a new lease of life in a way that you can semi-believe. I could get behind it.
Yes.
So for me, I thought it was good. Right? People don't like it. Yeah, that's up to them. I liked that. So I'm sort of hoping that it's going to do the same, because I don't care anywhere near as much about Star Trek as I do about Star Wars. So if they could do to Star Wars, I mean, I know we're not trying to reboot it here, in that same kind of way, but if they can bring it back the way that they did with Star Trek, I'd be a happy man. And just talking about Star Wars 1313. There's been some news this week that wasn't on the notes, but that I saw that it may happen after all. Did you see that? Did you see that around?
No, I didn't. That would be so cool. So, like I say, I think it was like an E3, wasn't it, where they showed like a vertical slice of the game, and they just showed kind of lots of duck and cover, and it looked incredible. I was like, I want that now. When that came out. Wow.
Well, on the website Push Square, they said that lots of people wanted it. It was going to explore Boba Fett's past, which is something that hadn't been done before. But yeah, it all got abandoned with the acquisition. I don't really understand how this is going to happen, because Disney own it and EA have got the Star Wars license. But they did an interview. Lucasfilm did an interview with Slash Film, and the head of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, said that the abandoned game, may get a new lease of life after all. So let's find out for the interesting quote. She said, "We don't want to throw any of that stuff away. It's gold, and it's something that we're spending a lot of time looking at, poring through and discussing. We may well develop things further. We definitely want to." So that's the position over at Lucasfilm. So I suppose it's just a case of whether Disney wants it and whether they can hook it into EA, I suppose. But maybe
absolutely. Because when Disney bought Star Wars license, they bought LucasArts, didn't they?
Yeah.
So they've got Indiana Jones, they've got all of that stuff. So
so when Kathleen Kennedy's saying that, she's talking from Lucasfilm, which is part of Disney.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be that could work then.
They could just take those assets, give it to EA, and say, finish that.
Take the team on Lucasfilm, second them to EA to work with the guys or whatever, with the vision or whatever, and go from there.
Oh my God, that would just be awesome.
That drops on Monday, the 14th of December. That little snippet, so that's pretty new as well. And so it could happen, and why not? There's such a buzz. Still such a buzz for that. I'm looking at the screenshot on the website.
Oh my God!
And it's awesome
because I wanted to know who published it. And when you were talking, I just quickly googled Star Wars 1313 and got excited about the screenshots. And it's a game that's not even coming out. And I was just like, "Oh my God! I just want that game. That's just so cool."
I think it will, but please let's not have blooming Sony presenting it as a Kickstarter at E3. Let's just have it made.
Superb. So next news is with you.
I lost my track then. Sorry. So this little one is that one of my two favourite indie games at the moment, Undertale, is currently leading the best game ever poll, which is being organised by Game FAQs. I don't know if you're familiar with Game FAQs, but I've used it for years just to look stuff up.
Yes.
I remember when I was on a gaming help desk way back in 2000, where people would ring up if they were stuck on a game. And I used Game FAQs to answer the questions.
So people actually rang you and you're like, I'm playing Zelda, I can't get out of the dungeon. Obviously they wouldn't say Zelda, but I'm playing this and I can't get out of this. And they would actually, and you'd have to help them through it.
You remember in the old days at the back of the instruction book, it'd say, you could ring for help. And I was one of the ring for help people.
Wow.
And and I remember when I started and I was like, crikey, I mean, I've played a lot of games, but I haven't played every game that you've done. And the guy went, "Don't worry, there's a great website." He's like, "There's a great website called Game FAQs, mate." And he showed it me, and I was like, and he goes, all you do, you find a game on here, you can find it. And I was like, wow. So I used it there, and then because I don't use it for myself because I don't cheat. I think it, I don't like. It's like sort of, I don't want to cheat. I want to enjoy the game, But yeah, it's a great resource. So it's been going for years, and it still looks like it's sort of 1999.
It really does, because I only ever go to Game FAQ when I want codes for Lego games. For like the times 2, 4, 6, 8 bricks.
It's a great repository, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. But they've stopped doing that now. You can't get hold of them that way anymore. You gotta grind for them now. But yeah, that's the only time I ever went to Game FAQ. But I just find that really interesting about your past. That's really cool.
Yeah. Sorry, I digress. I never digress, do I?
No, never. So, what was the main games that you were supporting back then?
Let me think. Rayman.
Right.
So,
because it was Ubisoft.
Yeah, it was Ubisoft. So yeah, Rayman was one of the main ones, and just the whole catalogue really. EverQuest.
Right.
There was some yacht simulator that I didn't have a clue about.
A yacht simulator, as in like sailing?
Like sailing game, yeah.
So your phone call's like, hello, I'm playing your yacht simulator, and I can't seem to get my boom to go across. What am I doing?
Absolutely. And one of the good examples is there was this Playmobil game. I've forgotten what it was called, and it was a kids' game, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, Ubisoft made a lot of their money back in the day, because I remember when I started working there, or even when I had the interview, and I was like, Ubisoft, it's great, it's a great opportunity, but they make rubbish games. As far as I was concerned, they would always make rubbish games. But then this is the thing, their games may not have been my cup of tea, but the games that they did make sold a lot to children, and Rayman captured loads of people, and they just sold by the bucket load. So the games that they did sell gave them this massive cash base that then they used to start acquiring studios. And they started to acquire studios in about 2001, 2002. They got Red Storm was one of the first ones, so they got all the Clancy titles.
Yep.
And they just moved from there and there. They just became, better and better and better. And then maybe lost their way a bit because they got so sort of massive. With like the buggy mess that was Unity and things like that.
You play.
Yeah, you play. And what's that about? So they sort of went from being sort of consistently there, but never with anything that you'd be amazed about. And then they seem to get amazing, like when Assassin's Creed and Jade Redmond, showed that for the first time. And then sort of toppled, sort of a victim of their own success, if you like. And now they're sort of not everybody's favourite. And some of the things I hear and comments that I see, they've got them there with EA is hated, which is a real shame, but they're still massive. And they've got the money to take risks and make some fantastic games, like I was going to say This War of Mine then, but it's not that. Valiant Hearts, for instance, they've got that little indie studio, haven't they, that brings things like Valiant Hearts out and things like
Absolutely.
that.
I love that they have that. I love that they have that little kind of offshoot where they kind of let people just kind of have some downtime, and they're just like, go off and do that. We had Valiant Hearts, didn't we? And then we also had what was the other one? We had Child of Light.
That's it.
That was from that. And also the one that I'm looking forward to, which is Trackmania Turbo. Actually, where is Trackmania Turbo? When are we supposed to get that this year?
Yeah. I know, it might be another Drive Club.
I played that at Gamescom.
Oh, I don't know.
And it was amazing.
So anyway, back to my story.
Yes.
Yeah, so this father rang up because his child was stuck on this Playmobil game. And he's like, my child can't get past this bit. And I said, just describe it to me. And he's like, right, what there is there's a door that won't open. And he's stuck and it can't open. I said, isn't there a button somewhere? I said, and I'd had some experience by now with this game. I said, there must be something you can shoot with your bow and arrow. He said, there totally isn't. And we didn't have remote desktop in those days or anything like that. So it was like, okay, leave it with me. So I had to install the game and play it to the point that he described so that I could explain what to do. Because I think there might have been a bit on Game FAQs that said the same thing that I'd said. But he said it didn't work and there was no way to prove it. So I sat there and played the game up to that point. And the trouble is, you think playing games for a living would be amazing, but playing a game you don't want to play or that you don't even like isn't that great, especially when you've got other things to do. So I played it to this point, and lo and behold, it's exactly what I thought. It was like a Zelda thing. You shot the button above the cave entrance and the door opened. It's something like that.
Yeah.
And I think what I had to do then was sort of like maybe make a save file and send it to him, and he got past it.
Right. Did you call him back and say, I've tried this and all of that sort of malarkey?
Yeah, I was like, look, I've done it, and you can do that. And I said, if you got any, I think he might have said he still can't do it. So I said, look, here's a save file to just pass there. He can carry on from there or something. But that was, for a kiddie game, it was like a pretty big game. It's like a Zelda thing. So I had to quest from the beginning. It's not a bad thing, not a bad way to earn a living. I mean, the wages were poor for that particular role. But yeah, it was a great time. It was a great time. So that's how I first found out about Game FAQs. Yeah, I found out about a few things in my time there. So the story was
Undertale.
Undertale. So Undertale is on Game FAQs is having this best game ever poll, and Undertale's at the top.
Wow!
Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
So do you think that's quite rightly? What else is kind of in the top 5?
Right. Let me just see if I can get to the contest information. What we've got, right? They are all different rounds,
right?
And I'll put the link to this in the show notes. So in round 1, you had, I don't know if this will take too long. The winner of the final of round 1 was a few Division 1, round 1. Mm-hmm. The final was between Chrono Trigger and Smash Bros Melee. And Smash Bros won it.
Right.
Division 2 was between Final Fantasy 6 and Final Fantasy 7, and Final Fantasy 7 won it. And then Division 3 was Pokemon Red Stroke Blue and Undertale won it. Division 4, Skyrim or Super Mario 64. Super Mario won it. Division 5, Zelda Ocarina of Time or Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and Zelda won it. Division 6, Zelda A Link to the Past or Zelda Majora's Mask, and A Link to the Past won it. Division 7 was Super Mario RPG or Resident Evil 4. Super Mario RPG won it. Division 8 was between Metal Gear Solid Original and Metal Gear Solid 3, and Metal Gear Solid 3 won it. Quarter-final was between Smash Brothers and they had 2 rounds. Smash Brothers and Undertale. Undertale won it. And then you had Zelda Ocarina of Time and Super Mario RPG. And Ocarina of Time won it, which brought Undertale and Zelda Ocarina of Time into the final.
Wow.
Well, I hope that came across well in speech, but I'll put the link over on the show notes. So yeah, and the votes are still going on. They're going on. Let me think about this. It's going on for 8.5 hours. So by the time this goes out, it'll have finished, I suppose.
All right, it'll be interesting to see who won.
Yeah, it will. But just the fact.
So do you think? I mean, you've played both. Do you think Ocarina of Time could nip it at the post, or would Undertale kind of take it?
Well, Game FAQs is full of people that are quite vocal,
right?
And I think they're not liking the fact that Undertale's sort of taking the crown over a game that always wins these sort of contests. Mm-hmm. So there's loads of like sort of hateful comments about it. I haven't played enough Undertale to comment really yet, but it'd be nice if it's that good. But anyone can vote. You know, it might just be one of these sort of meta bomb things where people are trying to make a point. So yeah, I don't know really, and obviously you can't really say.
Nope.
Because you haven't played Undertale. But have you got like a favourite game of all time? That's a difficult question. Out of those, you know, would you say Zelda Ocarina of Time is a contender for yourself personally?
Yeah, I think it would. I mean, I think, you know, out of all of those, I mean, one of the ones I was expecting to see was kind of Mario 64, you know, and I always kind of do hark back to kind of Mario 64 just being one of my kind of all-time favourite games because it was just so different. It was just so groundbreaking. But when it came out on the DS and I played it again, I just realised that all of those factors are true, but it's also just a really good game, and I just loved going and getting the next star and jumping through a picture and just really kind of, you know, getting the next one. Some of them were a bit tricky, but they still kind of pushed you on. And I think so for me, you know, it definitely Mario 64, but Ocarina of Time is also kind of up there. You know, I had the Ocarina of Time brings back a lot of memories of kind of there was a whole group of us playing it at that point, and you know, going into work, and all we were talking about was kind of what we played that night and helping each other through, because you know we didn't have you on a Nintendo helpline desk, but there was, you know, there was kind of, you know, the internet was there. Probably Game FAQ is probably one of the ones that we looked at, but we were just talking to each other. You know, the first hour of work was always about Zelda.
Wow, and it is a great game, and you know, at that sort of the time manipulation thing, it's pretty good. Pretty good game.
But yeah, no, it's fantastic. So that's interesting. So maybe we can report back on that when we come back after Christmas. But we're definitely we'll tweet the winner.
Yeah, we could tweet the winner. We'll see who wins. I think if people are trying to make a point with Undertale, I think, you know, it's probably going to win. And when I've completed it, I'll be able to comment on whether I think it was a worthy winner or not. I mean, it gets a lot of good press. For instance, it's the top game on Metacritic. It's the top PC game. Undertale at 93. It's above Metal Gear Solid 5 at 91.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be. Was it GTA at the top? Maybe that was on consoles. But yeah, it's above Witcher 3, which sit in fourth place at 89. Undertale is at the top of the Metacritic list, which I know is, you know, you can't take that as gospel, but it's certainly an indication.
I wonder if Undertale are being schmoozed by either Sony or Microsoft at the moment to bring that to consoles.
Well, I wanted it on console, and I was thinking that because of the popularity and it's getting more and more momentum, I was thinking it's definitely going to come, but I ended up buying it because I just couldn't wait. People say it wouldn't sort of suit a pad, but I think it could do the way that it plays. But I'm not far enough in, because the way I play it, there's 3 keys. There's three buttons that do actions. There's sort of like an action button, a cancel button, and another button that does something or other. So there's only 3 buttons, and then you use the cursor keys when you're in a battle to sort of do a mini bullet hell game, where you've just got to like defend yourself from loads of bullets. Now, I could easily transfer over to a pad, but maybe there's more depth as you go in. I don't know.
Maybe. No, it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to find out. Well, because are you going to play it over Christmas?
Yeah, if I get time. Well, I'm going to play it. I've got it now. Just the getting it was my commitment, because I was sort of thinking, flipping out. Keep hearing about this. I've got to have a go of it. I've got to get this gaming experience. If it's as good as people are saying, it's going to be right up my street. I love RPGs. So yeah, there it is. It's headed for the best game of the year as far as Game FAQ's public vote is concerned.
Fantastic. I'm just thinking like something like that by the sounds of it, and I've seen kind of what it looks like and how it plays would work really well on the Vita. There's that. That would probably lend itself quite well to there, and that would be a really good game to kind of take on your travels.
Oh, it totally would. Yeah.
That'd be really cool. Next up is with me, almost following on from what you're talking about games like PC games coming to consoles. Is like, because we've got a couple of new game announcements that are coming in the start of next year. We've got on the 12th of January, so just into the new year, one of the first games, and a game that I'm quite excited about, but I've never played, again, because it's a kind of Steam only, and that's Banner Saga. So Banner Saga is coming to both PS4 and Xbox One on the 12th of January. It's currently about $14.99 on Steam, so I'm hoping maybe kind of that will transition to the consoles at that price as well. But Banner Saga, I know they're making a sequel as well, but this first one just looks fantastic because it's a grid-based strategical combat game. By all accounts, the story is quite a in-depth, thought-provoking story, and the artwork just looks gorgeous. It looks absolutely fantastic. Have you seen this, Darren?
Yeah, I really like the look of Banner Saga. It's Banner Saga, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I like it a lot, and it's one of those. It's kind of a shame for the PC guys because it's nice that they've got their own stuff sometimes, because there's a lot of it that's on consoles, and it's nice to think that the PC guys, not that that's something that really shows off the power of the machine. And then it makes you think, well, why isn't it already on console? Because, like Witcher 3, for instance, CD Projekt Red said it wouldn't have existed without the sales on the consoles. So if the consoles get you the more sales, it's funny how these games either aren't on the way to console or are not on console already. The ones that never go to console, it just doesn't seem to make sense. But yeah, I've seen it in action. I really like the look of it. I like the aesthetics. So, and I didn't know it was coming. So that's great news.
Yeah, that's coming, and it's coming on the 12th of January. It's been available on iPad for a while, and I've always been tempted to drop in, but I just don't like playing games on my iPad. I'm more about using that as a kind of a reading device. And Plants vs Zombies 2 is the most gaming that I get on my iPad. Those kind of tower defense games. What's the other one that Nicola really plays? Origins. She plays some. So she's just constantly playing that. And that so that's coming 12th of January. Very cool. And then just as we're probably kind of wrapping up with that, on the 9th of February, 3 days before my birthday, thank you very much, EA, we're getting, it's my present, it's Unravel. So Yarny is coming to PlayStation 3, Xbox One I think it's coming to the PlayStation 3 on the 9th and Xbox on the 10th. So it's definitely kind of coming out February. On Xbox One at the moment, you can pre-order it and pre-download it for $14.99. So it's kind of set the price there, so we know what it's like. And anyone who saw the Gamescom EA showcase or the E3 one, kind of Yarny is this adorable little character made of yarn, obviously. And I didn't get to play it at Gamescom. I got to watch it at Gamescom, and I was just I just loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I can't wait to kind of get some Yarny action.
Oh yeah, I'm in the same boat as you there, definitely. Are you going to wait for that 3 days? So it's a birthday game?
Do you know what? I could, because I always take my birthday off. I never work on my birthday, so I always take my birthday off. And do you know what? I'd quite like to just sit and play Yarny all day. That might be quite nice, actually.
Can you get a resist, though?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. It's not one that I'm kind of, I'm probably still getting through my backlog or playing Banner Saga anyway. So I definitely could just kind of come down in the morning, cake, because you got to have cake for breakfast on your birthday. Yeah. Cake, coffee, Unravel. That'd actually be quite a cool
It'll
birthday.
make it so special, a new game.
Yeah.
A game that's, it's not sort of massive blockbuster, but it's had some hype, and we're all looking forward to it, and it'll make your birthday that much more special.
That's a really cool idea. I'm definitely going to do that. Because I was thinking about pre-ordering. I was going to pre-order on the Xbox. And quite interesting, I was going to pre-order on the Xbox because my Xbox account has been. I had a nice deposit from Microsoft. I think it's something like I've got like £26 or £27 in my Xbox wallet at the moment. Because of the games that I bought digitally, like Gears of War, Halo, Forza, and Lara Croft. Because I bought those digitally, I got like a nice little deposit. So I have some cash, so I can just pre-order that for free.
Wow, cash on the hip, birthday round the corner.
Wow, it's good to be me.
Everything's coming up, Chesson.
Star Wars tomorrow. Well,
Christmas round the corner as well.
Yeah, Christmas a week away. I love Christmas, and it's just like so. Oh, it's a good time.
Oh, yeah.
So next piece of news. Well, I just sit here smiling. Next piece of news is
it is. Oh yeah, and I just noticed when before I didn't mention it, but that I was saying the voting's still going on. It's finished. So Undertale won.
Oh, and Undertale won.
Yeah, Undertale. But we don't know if you're any good yet, really. But we'll critically acclaim. Is that right? I don't know. That's a debate. So this one is just as we're on a high about Christmas. There's been whisperings that hackers may try. Hackers is not really the correct term, but the people, script kiddies, are threatening to ruin Christmas for the gamers again on consoles, PlayStation and Xbox One primarily, or PlayStation 4. Well, PlayStation and Xbox, actually, because it's the platform that they're going to ruin. So, remember what happened with Lizard Squad last year?
Oh, that was just the worst thing to happen, wasn't it?
I'd forgotten about it, but it was rubbish. And I really... it annoyed the heck out of me. But I felt so sorry for little Johnny. Little Johnny, he's done his paper round all year and all the rest of it, and he's got this console. He can't even play it on Christmas Day. I would have been mortified when I was a kid.
Yeah.
When I got my Amiga... If I wouldn't have been able to play it, I'd have just been so sad.
Because both consoles needed the internet in order to just kind of kick in, didn't they? They needed
patch, didn't they? They needed a day. They both needed a day one patch. Yeah, there wasn't any firmware, and it probably still won't. There'll probably still be. Well, I don't know how up to date. It depends how up to date your console is, but they might not have an XOE on, for instance, on your Xbox.
Yeah, I should ask my friend actually because it's quite interesting. One of my friends has just taken his day one Xbox back to game, traded it in, got £200 for it, and bought one of those Elite consoles. So he bought the Elite console that comes with the Elite controller.
Yeah.
So he took his day one in. They gave him £200, and then he just kind of paid the remainder for that new Elite console. So I should ask him to see if it does come with NOXE or what it comes with.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. So, yeah, the last attack from Lizard Squad over Christmas, it was 3 days that we were down for. This group's got a different name. They're called Phantom Squad, and their fantastic Christmas time tweet is that we are going to shut down Xbox Live and PSN this year on Christmas, and we are going to keep them down for 1 week straight. #drama alert.
Oh, that's just,
it makes me sad.
Hopefully, PlayStation Network and Xbox have learned from that mistake last year. Lessons learned that they and they have tried to tighten up. I always said that what they should do is whoever those little
urchins.
people gets urchins. Well, you should never kind of profit from that, but they should hire them because if they can take down the network, they can protect the network as well.
Well, I don't know if they can because it's a DDoS attack, and any idiot can just go on the internet and pick a target and trigger a DDoS. It's not something. Yeah, it's not something that takes a wizard to implement, but I think it would take. It'd take more than it's something that it's easier to do than it is to protect against, especially when it's a network that is designed to accept incoming connections like these are. But they've had a year, haven't they?
They have had a year to prepare. So what's the name of this new squad? Because I always thought Lizard Squad sounded like a group of 10-year-olds, in the playground.
It probably is because it could be Phantom Squad.
Phantom Squad.
I'm not going to put the tweet on the show notes because I don't really want to
let's not give them any
advertise it
airtime or any. Let's not give them any airtime. That's what they want, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, last time, there's this website called Mega, and that gives you, I think, secure encrypted downloads, and you can pay so much to get credit to be able to download stuff. And the guy that runs it is called Kim.com, and he gave Lizard Squad last year like a lifetime's worth of premium Mega vouchers, so that they'd end the attack. I think they might have tweeted and said, "Give us this and we'll stop it." So this guy did, and everyone was like, "Hooray, you've saved us." So he did that, and then they ceased the DDoS. So he actually tweeted as well, warning at Sony and at Microsoft, "You've had a year to upgrade your networks. He says Lizard Squad because it might just be a pseudonym. If Lizard Squad takes down PSN and Xbox this Christmas," and he just phrases it in more colourful language, "but it will be unhappy." So, you know, you said exactly that, didn't you? You know, it's like, you've had a year. Is there a way to stop a DDoS? Well, if anyone's going to know that, it was certainly going to be Microsoft, isn't it?
Well, I mean, not to kind of fan any flames, but Microsoft were quicker, weren't they, to recover last year? I think they did it within 24 hours.
They did. And PlayStation Network is known to be flaky anyway, isn't it?
Yeah,
You've got solid foundation with Microsoft.
Yes.
It's what they do.
Well, exactly. So I was just about to say that, you know, servers is what they do. So, you know, if they don't, they probably put all their time and effort onto that when that happened. But, you know, it's not only ruining people's Christmas who are trying to fire up their PC for the first time. It's also ruining all those engineers that have to come in and try and fix the issue as well.
And they have to go in on
Christmas Day.
They're away from their families and they've got to work. The only motivation I can't remember what Lizard Squad's was. Apart from, like, we're just proving we can do it. The motivation apparently for this attack is that there's no such thing as cybersecurity.
I thought you was going to say that there's not enough content in Star Wars Battlefront.
Now that's a DDoS attack I could get behind. Yeah, so let's hope. I'd sort of forgotten about it, and then I saw this and I was like, "Oh no, don't." And it's so lucky that, like, Xbox removed that DRM, because as we saw, it was hard enough for a lot of games that I owned last year. I couldn't play a lot of stuff, and it wasn't multiplayer, but I still couldn't play things because of this attack, because the service was down, because Xbox Live was down, because they are so hinged online these days, these games. And I think I got to play some stuff, but I was thinking with the Xbox, because when it was initially announced they were going to have that always connected thing, attacks like this would render you completely unable to play anything for the period that it was being attacked or down for. And it makes me thankful that isn't as prevalent as it could have been. But I just hope it doesn't happen. We'll see. We'll be chatting about it after Christmas.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Next piece of news, hot off the press. Woke up this morning about kind of 7 to a news update from Sony. A fantastic news update that did make me smile. I jumped straight to the website, you know, hoping there wasn't any Star Wars spoilers anywhere around it. But jumped straight to the website to see Andrew House in a video officially announcing that Sony have formed a partnership with the newly formed Kojima Productions. So Hideo Kojima, his employment contract with Konami finished on December 15th, which was, as we were recording this was yesterday, and then a day later, up they come with a video saying that they're working together, that Kojima now has his own studios called Kojima Productions, and they will be making a new title that is PlayStation 4 console exclusive. So Kojima tweeted this morning, he tweeted that my employment contract with Konami is terminated on December 15th, so today marks a new start for me. I'm committed to be involved in creative activities for as long as I live. Look forward to what's coming. So this was just fantastic news. So it was great in the little clip that Andrew House shared with everyone. He was introducing, you know, telling everyone that they're working with Kojima Productions, and then Kojima, they kind of panned left, and there was Kojima there, just kind of saying how how delighted he was to be working as part of the PlayStation family as well. So it was quite a nice little kind of cockle-warming video to start the day with. I just think it's great. I can't wait to hear more. Maybe we won't hear any more from Kojima, but I just can't wait to hear more to find out what happened between Konami and Kojima.
Yeah, I wonder if we ever will. I mean, it could be that if he speaks about it, he'll be sued.
Yes.
Probably will be, judging for all the furore that we've had, up to this point. I really loved, I thought Andrew House's Japanese was amazing. Not that I don't speak Japanese, so I can't critique it, but it sounded,
It sounded genuine.
I was sort of like, wow, I didn't know he spoke Japanese. He didn't look like he was reading it off a card or anything.
No.
And it just seemed so authentic the way he delivered it, and just the handshake starting off that relationship. Well, they probably shook hands before, but the public handshake to show their partnership and to show the start of a new foundation. I just thought that was, like you say, it was a great start to the day, wasn't it?
It really was. And then straight after that announcement, Kojima Productions launched its official website. So that went live with showing the logo. So, it's all official. It's all going for it. So, which was quite. So that's kojimaproductions.jp. And it doesn't really show much apart from that press release at the moment. And that's how it'll probably stay for the next 4 years. But, so I wonder what it's going to be. Would it be PT? Who knows? That
would be good, wouldn't it? That would be good. Did you see his funky new logo?
I did. It was very cool. I thought it was a very cool logo.
There's already a T-shirt with it on you can get.
No way, really?
Yeah, there is. He showed a picture of like two of his team sporting them. He said, "Yeah, we're going to sell these." And I thought it's so sort of, sort of out there. It's like instantly sort of mercenary, if you like. But I instantly wanted one.
Yes.
But it's like, yeah, you can buy these, knowing that people out there. No one's like me and you. I don't want to include you in that if you don't want to be. But we're just fans and we'll just buy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What a position to be in, to know what he does is cool. He can get someone to do a logo, associate it with himself, and we won't be the only ones. Hundreds or thousands of people would love to own that shirt, because to us that's like the embodiment of cool from a gaming icon.
Exactly, and it's also a sign of kind of solidarity that we're behind him, isn't it? Konami really have come across the bad guy, haven't they? You were saying about Ubisoft and EA, but I think Konami is definitely kind of.
I think they might say, they're taking the crown, haven't they? I forgot about Konami in that discussion. Yeah, absolutely.
They really have. They really are the bad guys now. So people would wear that T-shirt as a sign of support. You'd probably see that kind of. If they do put that on sale, I bet E3 will be full of them. People will just be so.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was good to see him there. It's good to see that he hasn't been kind of disillusioned by the industry and just left it. Crazy stuff goes on in that man's head. So it's quite interesting. I'll be really interested to see what is going to happen next. And all I can say is, kind of please tweet Del Toro and do whatever you were going to do, but now do it. And as you would probably attest to, Darren, it's PlayStation is the right platform for Kojima as well. That's kind of where he belongs.
Yeah, it's where my gaming memories of him came from. My first memory is Metal Gear 1 as a Kojima game, and it's just everything that I ever played with Kojima was always on PlayStation until fairly recently, when his games sort of branched out. But I'm not saying that he's against Xbox or anything. It was just the way it was. I think Metal Gear Solid 4, I think it was technical reasons. I don't think the Xbox could have done it because it was a bit of a less powerful machine. And PS3 did have the odd exclusive that was a bit of an eye opener, and that was, I have thoroughly enjoyed Metal Gear Solid 4. It was a great game, but the guy's a visionary, isn't he? He's a gaming visionary, and like you say there, I'm glad that it hasn't sort of taken the wind out of his sails, and he's just thought, you know what, I'm just going to leave this fickle industry, and go off and retire, which I'm sure he could have.
Yeah.
But I think that there's more in him, isn't there? He's got a creative mind, and he seems to just want to sort of, he's like a conduit for this, and he just wants to get that out there into a gaming format for all us lucky gamers to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wonder if, like, the first game, obviously there's PT, which, I loved that kind of demo teaser, whatever that was. That was really scary and very cool. But I wonder if, like, his first game out of the gate will be something like a Metal Gear Solid game, but just with a different character, with a different protagonist. And it would be quite interesting to kind of see what we're going to get next.
Yeah, that'd be so funny if it's like sort of in all but name, it just carries on the whole thing, but everybody can totally tell, and he just carries on with it his own way, and nobody's interested in what Konami bring out, because they know that the true one is that, but just with the names changed to protect the innocent, if you like. Yeah, wow. So yeah, it's good. We were just debating last week, weren't we? Where we go? You were using your revolving doors metaphor of him going in and out. I don't know whether he went in and out a lot of studios or just went straight there to his spiritual home, like which is PlayStation.
Yeah, it's like, who had the biggest check, Kai? I kind of think it was someone like Kojima. You kind of think that maybe it was the PlayStation. That's where that's where his fondness is. That's where his
loyalty
is. Where
because
he cut his talent. So maybe he did that. But behind the scenes, we'll probably never know until there's a book come some 10, 15 years time. But yeah, that would be interesting. And also there was an interview with Jeff Keighley as well, and Jeff Keighley was saying that the bit that he did in the Game Awards where he told everybody what had happened, that was completely off the cuff. So they hadn't planned it. Even his team didn't know. They were just like, they kind of came back from a trailer or a break, and he was just like, point the camera at me, I've got something to say. And so that was all completely off the cuff. He felt so sad that his good friend Kojima wasn't there that he wanted to get it out.
Yeah, and fair play to him for doing that. I think he definitely built up some kudos with a lot of people that maybe aren't Jeff Keighley fans.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was it was really good that happened. I think it was a really kind of a positive thing out of what happened, which was horrible. Not being allowed to kind of just be there representing your craft, but good on Jeff Keighley.
Yeah.
So, next piece of news, chap, is with you.
Yeah. So this is about the crown. I didn't know it existed, of Industry Personality of the Year.
Thank you very much. Well, I'd like to thank my father.
Step forward, son. Actually, I'm afraid you're second this year, Antony. Sorry about that, mate. But GamingBolt.com has named its Industry Personality of the Year. Guess who it is?
See, I wanted to guess, and I've seen the other link that you've got in the show notes, kind of bit, a bit of inside baseball there for this podcast, and I was hoping that it was going to be that chap. So tell everyone who it is.
It's Phil Spencer, hooray!
Yes, well done, Phil.
Yeah, our mate, fan of the show, fan of us, Phil Spencer. He's won the Gaming Bolt Industry Personality of the Year. I'm inclined to agree. Me too. I like Shuhei, and many other people in gaming. Kojima, but he's been hidden away because of the lawyers. The Platinum Games guy, I forget his name offhand. But I think for personality and for being the physical embodiment that you see that makes you feel that he cares about games, and we've discussed this before. I think Phil's the man.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the Xbox that we are using right now is Phil's Xbox. It took a year, but backwards compatibility, that new dashboard, all of that stuff. I think all of that is definitely it has Phil written all over it. It's just that stuff, the games that we're playing, the portfolio that we've got to look forward to next year. All of that, he has really turned the Xbox around. For me, it's always been that go-to console. I've started playing more on the PlayStation 4, Star Wars and Metal Gear Solid, those cross-platform titles. I'm now playing on the PS4, and it feels less alien to me now, and I'm quite happy flip-flopping between the two. But for me, Xbox has been, and now is definitely always that. It's edging it out between the two of them, and I like the interface. I like the titles that are coming. Next year we've got Crackdown. We've got that big game with the headphones. There is we've got Gears of War. There's some really good games coming in, and I think we do just kind of owe all of that to Mr. Spencer.
I think we totally do. He's made such changes. I wonder if Don Matrick had stayed. Well, I don't wonder. I don't believe that he would have made anywhere near the amount of changes that Phil has made since stepping in. That's why they got Phil in, though, isn't it? You know, if Dom had been making the right decisions, he may still have been there instead of going off to Zynga or wherever it was he went, and then he's disappeared from there now as well, I think. So what was he responsible for? Well, he held the torch for backwards compatibility, didn't he?
Yep.
Sorting out the UI, the user interface on there. So NXOE, you know, he's been very involved in that. Price drops, you know, and a concentration on new IP. So playing to the strengths of the console is, you know, that's the focus. That's the you can imagine that there's no better place to focus than on new IPs, because that's what the field is short of. You know, is new IP. That's what everybody's shouting out for, and it's PS4. It's Sony's weak spot. As we saw at E3 this year, as we saw at the last E3, you know, they don't have that new IP. And Xbox just came out there and feels like, yeah, this one, greatest lineup in history, okay, you know, so far, you know, and that's been his focus. He's found the strength. He's playing to the strengths that they've got. They've looked at, or maybe you could rephrase it as playing to Sony's weakness, you know, trumping them on where they've fallen short, because they can't change the spec of the box.
No.
That's just there for the lifetime of this generation. So what is it that they can do? What can differentiate? What was it that made 360 the most popular system when it was in a similar situation against the PS3 that had more technical prowess? Better games. The 360 had it that it was easier to develop for as well. Sony learned from the mistakes of the PS3 being a bit of a nightmare to develop for, and they've made the PS4 easier to develop for now, which has levelled that part. But still, there was loads of great games on Xbox. So he's championed that. And as we've said before, he's been a front and a personality at the forefront of Microsoft's console. That, first of all, you know, you believe he's a gamer. You know, you can tell that he's his passion. You know, gaming's in his heart. And
he's had some really good lap times on Forza.
Has he?
Yeah, it really has, you know, and I do kind of, you know, in my kind of ideal world, I really hope that's him and not one of his interns that's doing that. But, you know,
he's just got a team that play games under his gamer tag.
Yeah, it's Dan Greenwald from Turn 10. So he's got the creators of all the games setting times for him. But, you know, if you look at his gamer tag, he does play games. You know, he pumped a lot of time into Destiny. When Halo 5 came out, there were some live streams showing him playing Halo 5 and doing really well. You know, I'd love to come across P3, which is what he is on Xbox. I'd love to come across P3, you know, kind of whilst playing Halo or Forza.
Yeah, imagine that. It'd be so cool, because you can just follow him, can't you? I mean, I haven't done that yet. I need to do that.
Yeah, no, you can just, you know, I follow quite a few people, you know, just to kind of see, you know, what they're playing or get their scores, you know, like Major Nelson and, you know, and Phil as well. You know, it's quite interesting to kind of add a couple of people like that to your friends, quote unquote friends on Xbox.
Yeah. I mean, he's had his work cut out stepping into those shoes for definite, and I don't think he could have done any better. He's really turned it around. I don't know what he's going to do about the sales, but the sales will follow the games. So I think, you know, the only way that he's doing the only thing that he could do to fix the situation, because not to like be Field of Dreamsy, but if the games are there, the gamers will come, won't they?
Absolutely. No, I'm really interested to see the MPDs for, like, you know, we already saw Xbox was top for October, was it? It was October, so we should be getting, I think MPDs actually launch on Thursday this week, so tomorrow as we record this, and, you know, and I would expect to see Xbox top again, you know, because, and you know, and Phil has delivered on that greatest games lineup. You know, it started with Rare Replay, it's finished with Tomb Raider, you know, and it's been fantastic. You know, if you look at the games, if you were a brand new player and you grabbed an Xbox this Christmas, you hadn't played in the next gen consoles, you sit down with Halo, you know, Rare Replay, Gears of War Remastered, Tomb Raider, Forza, you know, you know, next gen is definitely here with those titles alone, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And he's done a bit of tweeting as well. out to his followers. Another part of the friendly, connected side of him as the front man of Xbox. So he answered some questions that his followers asked him on Twitter. And what's that, man? Is that my computer picking up that? Just give me a sec. Oh, that's okay. Some music's just started on, an advert's playing or something on my internet. And I thought it was your phone ringing or something. So I've got some fantastic music playing, and I can't find the window that it was coming from. Not bad. Right, stop now. Weird. He replied to some questions he was asked. He said that the backwards compatibility list for the Xbox One will be updated in December. So that'll be interesting. He said mid-December, so any day now. We should get some more games on there.
Right.
He also said that he was interested in doing a remake of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, but mentioned that it's an EA game, so obviously it'd need their support. But that's an interesting one. I love that game.
But if Phil Spencer comes to you and you're EA and he says, I want you to remake that game, you kind of seriously think about it, don't you?
Yeah, especially when you could split it up into lots of episodes.
Yes.
Because it is a big game. Yep. And if they made all planets explorable and things, you could then start to justify that it might be worth it. And he was saying that it's all about new IPs for Xbox One in 2016. So there's loads of games coming. What have we got then? We've got Scalebound. It looks awesome. That's from Platinum Games, so they've got good credibility. And it'd be interesting to see them working on a sort of higher budget game than the sort of arcadey ones they've been bringing out, even though they're good, like Transformers and Ninja Turtles. I think this is going to be a little bit above them in terms of quality, even though they're good games on their own, but a bit more depth maybe. Sea of Thieves from Rare, that's looking really cool from what we've seen of it. Really can't wait for that. Recore as well from Armature Studio, and Quantum Break as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Quantum Break, and as I was saying earlier, Crackdown as well.
Yeah, Crackdown 3. Yeah,
using the power of the
cloud to ace the PS4 with what it can do. So that's really interesting. Yeah, and he also confirmed that they haven't revealed yet the full lineup for 2016.
Well, we've also got Gears of War as well, haven't we?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
That's what I mean, you see. We look at Xbox, and, I'm not having a dig at PlayStation, but you look at Xbox and you go, what have you got coming next year? And, there it is. With PlayStation, they're kind of saying some games are 2016, but you don't believe them, do you, at the moment? You're like, well, you got Uncharted. We know that's possibly coming out in March, but that's, what else have you got? And it's quite interesting that, I think one of the things that Phil has brought is that stability, and I'm always, I've said before on the podcast that I'm surprised that the PlayStation 4 is trouncing the Xbox. There's really that kind of, 2-for-1 that we're getting at the moment. But as you quite rightly said, it's probably just because a friend has one and they tell a friend to get one, and so on and so forth. But I do think Xbox, especially over the next couple of months, will pick up and close the gap.
I think the majority of the current generation so far has been a multi-platform real generation. So most of the good games have come out on both. So it hasn't mattered which console you own so much, only for a few isolated incidents like Halo 5 and Tomb Raider being timed exclusive. There are others, Rare Replay, for instance. But for the majority, the big games have played on both. And, that analogy that we've discussed before about people started to buy them because the PS4 was stronger or whatever, more powerful. And then the friends thing, the snowball thing there, that will carry on. And unless there's a differentiator, and that's what exactly. So if those games are all you keep the exclusives coming, and it'll tip the scale. If Sony don't bring out if the PS4 is basically a box that you play multi-platform games on, then as time goes on over the lifetime of the generation, and if Xbox keep bringing out more and more exclusives that are of quality, it's I'm going to go out there. I mean, I'm not Michael Pachter, but it's bound to tip the scale. Because gamers play games, and games sell consoles. And so, it would tip the scale. It just, the head start that PS4's got, it would maybe take a little while. But if there was a consistent difference in exclusive games on Xbox and sort of just stale from PS4, like one great game a year, like 2016, say you got an episode of Final Fantasy VII, and then 2017 you get Last Guardian, and then 2018 you get Shenmue 3. That's not enough. It would be enough if Xbox were doing nothing. It would be fine. But if Xbox carry on with the momentum that they've built here, and they've already got a massive list for 2016 of stuff that looks like quality, from E3, from what we've seen, and they're saying they haven't revealed the whole extent of that list. There's more to come. If they carry on like that, then it'll tip the balance, won't it?
It will do. It really will. And we also forgot, was it Halo Wars 2 as well? So absolutely. I mean, I quite, it doesn't matter to us because we've already purchased both. We're in there. But I quite like Microsoft on the back foot because we're getting so much good stuff from them. Where they are chasing, they haven't got time to sit on their laurels, have they? So they're kind of giving good stuff. They're pushing the studios. They're getting new content. They're signing these exclusivity deals. They're helping to make it better. ID at Xbox and things like that. We're getting all of that. We get Ark Survival Evolved, the dinosaur game, comes to Xbox Live Preview, this week. And we're getting PC games coming to Preview. We're getting those alpha builds. And, all of those things are, again, they're kind of because of Phil and because Phil is trying to close that gap with Sony.
You're getting cross-compatibility with Windows 10, universal apps. It's probably going to be something with Oculus there, I imagine. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting. I was going to say something and it popped out of my head. She's ashamed.
But if you ever get a chance to kind of hear Phil speak, I know there's quite a few podcasts. He appears on Podcast Unlocked quite a few times. He does some really good he interviews really well. I'd love to spend some time chatting to him.
Because he's passionate, isn't he? He's passionate as a gamer.
He is, yeah. He talks about games, and and I love the one thing about Phil is he's always got that cheeky grin when he kind of when he's keeping something, and he wears really cool T-shirts as well. So
yeah, what's not to like?
What's not to like? So the next news article, this is something definitely not to like. Did it? I actually did a good segue. So this is Destiny. Oh, Destiny! Why? Destiny has launched a level boost pack. Now, Darren, you predicted this when we saw those emotes and the paying for emotes. We thought, it's not going to be long before an expansion, a level boost comes, and it's been announced and it's now available. So you can now, for £24.99, so for £24.99 or the $30, you can boost your character to level 25 in Destiny. Now, we got one of these for free when Destiny's Taken King came out. There was an orb that you had that could take any character to 25, but now they're now available in the in-game store, same place you can buy your little dances and your points. You can now buy for £25 a level 22 boost, and I just think, we knew it. We knew that was going to go that way. When they started putting in microtransactions, we just knew it. But the thing that gets me is for $24.99, you're already going to level 25, where the cap that you really want to get to is about 40. You can get to 25 quite quickly. If you're new to Destiny or you're starting a new character, you can get to 25 quite quickly. It's from 25 to 40. That's when it starts kind of slowing down and you start having problems.
Can you stack them? Spend 50 quid and get to 40 straight away?
Oh no, that would be really cool, wouldn't it? You're just like, there you go, I've got 10 in the bank for when you do the next expansion. But what do you think about this, Darren? I think it's terrible. I think it's obviously level boosts are in World of Warcraft you can do level boosts, and they've had them for years. But this is a game that we've paid full price for, and they're just putting these in. Obviously, people kind of, will vote with their wallet if they like it. I'm definitely never going to buy an emote, and I'm never going to buy a level pack.
Wow. Just by the way, are you still playing Taken King?
No, we kind of, Nicola and I went on to Halo. I went on to other games, and she's kind of doing Halo on the hardest level, and about to start Witcher at Christmas. So no, we've kind of, because we finished the Taken King, we were doing some questing, and pretty much Destiny's just sitting there on the hard drive waiting for the next expansion.
Okay, right. Well, my opinion on this, okay, I'm not as angry as I thought, because does it really give anybody the edge? What's the benefit? Because like, aren't most people past 25 anyway? Level 25 on Taken King. If you buy Taken King, you get, is it called a Shard of Light or something?
Yeah, well, you get the light.
You get one, don't you? You get one for free to boost one character to 25, so that you can play that, because that's the admission for the level, isn't it? You need to be level 25 to play Taken King. Is that right?
That's correct.
Right. So if you bought the game, so everybody's got a level 25 character that's playing Taken King, either that they made themselves or that they bought and they didn't have time, so they used the free one to be level 25. So this would only be for for different characters that they pick. So it doesn't unbalance it doesn't unbalance the playing field, does it?
No, it doesn't. It's just a quick, trip to 25 rather than kind of getting.
Which you say isn't that bad a grind anyway.
No, it really isn't. It really isn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if people are foolish enough to stump up 25 quid, it's quid a level. to go to level 25. I just don't understand why anyone would. That's what I can't get. It seems that if you didn't get the free boost to 25 with Taken King, and the grind was a bit of a nightmare, and then they said this, I'd be well annoyed, because it'd mean some people, you'd get the haves and the have-nots, because some people would stump up the 25 quid for whatever reason, either because they had the money or because they didn't have the time. And you can argue that's a legitimate reason, but then you could also argue if you haven't got much time, you probably wouldn't play Destiny. And that would make a separation there, wouldn't it, between people who had to grind because they didn't have the £25, but because everybody gets one free, I don't know if I've got as much of a problem with it because of that.
I mean, I'm kind of slightly perturbed by this, but not only because of this kind of jump to level 25. If you want to spend £25 and do that, all power to you. It's your money. But and bear in mind, you could just buy Taken King. If you've got if you're new to Destiny, you could just buy Taken King rather than doing that. I think it's setting the ground. It's the groundwork that it's setting. It's what it could lead to. It's like Destiny 2 being this nothing game, and then you're just constantly buying armor, and you're constantly buying.
And you can buy a gun that just makes you invincible, or no armor, like you say. That's if this is a step towards that, then it's a nightmare.
Absolutely, and we had those dances and points, and that's okay. You pay money for it. Again, that can't be earned in game. You can't you have to pay money to get those, and if you want those, then again, more power to you. I'm just worried about what this leads to, because we got those points and those dances. Now we're getting level caps. What's next? And then, as you say, it doesn't really affect multiplayer, because multiplayer is its own separate leveling system. But how long is it until they do something there, and you can then start perking up in your thing, and then other people start looking at this, going, actually, do you know what? Activision own Call of Duty as well. So they're like, well, actually, this has made us money here, so we're now going to do it over here as well. And how long before that starts happening? And like I say, I just thought it was worthwhile talking about. It's a good discussion point, but for some people, I guess they might want to go through a Titan, a Warlock, a Hunter, kind of do one of each. I know there are achievements on the Xbox One where you have to get kind of a level 20 on a Titan, a Warlock, Hunter, and that if you want to get all of the achievements, that is a bit of a grind, so that does help. But then you're paying £50 to just upload, to upscale or up level 2 of those characters. I just think it's a bit far. It's a bit too much.
A step too far. Wow, there's several points that I was thinking of from what you said then. First of all, the most recent thing you mentioned then was like people who are going to try and level up 3 characters. For those kind of people, surely they would enjoy the leveling up. They're the kind of people that wouldn't want to skip. So it seems at loggerheads with what I imagine the nature of those kind of people would be, that they would enjoy the leveling up, because that would be the way they played the game. And it's like old Yang says in Spelunky, it's the journey, rather than the destination that's the fun. So leveling up to level 25 is part of the enjoyment, unless you're really bored with it. And if it is, it's another step. It's another step in the direction that we don't want games to go in, where we talked before about the amount of money that Destiny's made and the amount of players, And apart from all the moaning that you read about, oh, it's rubbish, it's shallow, it's repetitive, and all that, it wasn't critically acclaimed. You see lots of people complaining about it, but the figures are there. Loads of people love it. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of people play it and love it and spend money on it, and they're just sticking their finger in the wind with this again, aren't they? And they'll just see what bites. They're casting the line out. They'll see what bites, and if enough people do, then we'll go on to the next evolution of it, which is quite scary. But you could also argue, I was thinking, that maybe this is to mitigate the pre-owned market, because I presume, and you can tell me whether I'm right here or not, with Taken King, that level up orb that you get, I presume that's a code. Is it a code that you get in the game? So in the manual or whatever, and you put the code in, and then you get that shot.
No, it's just when you buy. So sitting with the postmaster in the Citadel, for me at the moment, is that orb. I can use it if I want to. Obviously, I can't use it because I'm a level 30, whatever I am, 39, 40. I think we maxed out. So it's just but that orb is just sitting there. So if I decided to go do another character like a warlock, I could then just level that up straight away to 25. Okay. And and these items, this item here, this boost, that's just available via the PlayStation Store, via the Xbox Store. You buy it as a almost like a piece of DLC.
But what I'm getting at here is, if you were new to Destiny, you hadn't bought the previous ones, so you're starting from scratch, but you bought Taken King. The idea is that you can the idea of the boost was so that people could get into Taken King straight away, wasn't it? So they could boost up to level 25 and instantly get into Taken King, right?
Yes.
So if you bought a copy of the game, you'd use that to play Taken King, right? I'm imagining that's what you'd do.
But it was all on the disc. I don't think there wasn't any like physical code.
Oh, right. So if you got a pre-owned one, it wouldn't be that it wouldn't know that you've already used that boost then. So it's free to everybody and repeatedly free. If one physical disc went around and was sold lots of times, whoever bought it just on their account, they would get that boost then, would they? On their account, on their player. So, okay. Well, okay. I thought that it was a way that they were trying to sort of mitigate. I thought that boost would be a code that was in the physical copy that you can only use once, and then if somebody bought a pre-owned version of Taken King, for instance, it wouldn't have it. So this is a way of them profiting from the pre-owned market when they wouldn't usually get any revenue. But obviously, that's if that isn't the way it works, then that isn't valid.
Well, exactly. I mean, I've seen disc-based Taken King kind of boxes, and that seems like a lot of effort, a lot of money spent on the box if it's just got a code inside. So it is pure speculation. Maybe next time I'm in game, I'll pop in and ask them kind of how that worked, and whether it is just a code. If it was, then you're spot on there.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's just a guess, really, just a bit of conjecture. But it's definitely a step in the wrong direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Just stop it, Bungie. Just stop it.
Stop it. For me, it still doesn't tip the playing field enough for me to. But it is bad. It is bad.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can see kind of where it could work. Like I say, if you wanted to boost really quickly. I mean, one of my friends, Will, he's just bought a PlayStation. He's into Destiny. Hasn't got many players that he's playing against. He's trying to get some friends together. Obviously, I'm over on Xbox, so I can't play with him. But if the pool was there, if there wasn't such a ginormous amount of games, I would grab Destiny and play with him, because he got to the end of the storyline, was a little bit kind of stuck. So he wanted to go. Where to go to next. I steered him wrong. Apologies, Will. But he found out where he had to go to next. But that would have been quite good just to kind of jump in and help him out. But I'm not going to pay $24.99 to get to level 25, so he'd be carrying me for the first couple of hours, days, weeks. But it's an interesting one. But I just don't want it to go any further. I don't want Destiny 2, if we're getting Destiny 2 or the following Destinies, to just kind of be this microtransaction based game, because I enjoy Destiny. I like Destiny. I'm a big fan. Both Nicola and I, we're big fans. We enjoy, especially after the Taken King. We enjoy the story. It looks amazing. It plays amazing. So I don't want to spoil that great experience.
Yeah, I'm the same. And this kind of practice is sort of abhorrent to me. It offends my sort of core gaming my gaming core, really, because this isn't what gaming was about. It wasn't such an obvious cash cow all the time. It was just about enjoying games, and leveling up was part of enjoying the game, that you're playing. It's sort of like I just said, it's the journey, not the destination in a game. Just to skip to the end, that's not what gaming's about. Though I can appreciate some people don't have time. So yeah, I'm totally against it with you. I completely agree. And the thing that's annoying me is that I bet you there'll be a figure released in a few weeks or a few months that says so many £100,000 has been spent on level boost packs.
Yes.
And me and you are just going to be aghast. And we're going to be like, why? And we won't understand why. But it doesn't matter, because this will fuel the fire.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and you just know, as much as you say to people, voting with your wallet. If you don't want to do it, don't buy it, and that's exactly what I'm doing with Star Wars. The season pass. There's nothing there yet. They haven't told me what it is. When they tell me it's, I get to play as an Ewok, then they'll have my money. But at the moment, they're not getting it, and the same with this. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Just don't show them that this kind of quick fix is something that us gamers want.
Yeah, it's annoying, especially annoying when, you from what you said, Taken King sounds really good, but I found that Destiny lacked so much of what they promised in the first place. If it was the game that I would have expected, and as expansive a universe as I expected, sort of space opera, which it might be with Taken King, I can't comment, but I expected this vast sort of amazing story interlinked with all these different planets, sort of like a Mass Effect but more Halo, like with a story like Mass Effect but with this Halo sort of action FPS game genre. I'm getting all flustered because I'm getting passionate about it. Then I'd be happy, but because it seems so much of an empty shell compared to what was promised, it just annoys me. So yeah, it's annoying.
It's such a shame. It's such a shame that they didn't just kind of bite the bullet and go, do you know what, this is a long-term thing. So what we're going to do is give everybody Taken King for free. Because I feel that if you bought the Taken King and started playing Destiny, you would change your thoughts and your opinion on Destiny would change.
Yeah, my nephew showed it me and I was impressed.
Yeah, it's such
I
a
read
shame
about the reviews and all the reviews were glowing. Your reviews glowing, and that's enough for me. I believe it.
It's such a shame they didn't just go, do you know what, we messed up. Here's something that rights the wrongs. But here's another piece of DLC that's coming later that you got to pay for, and and that was it. And that would have been, I think that would have been a real token, and then would have got a lot of people that are in the same boat as you, that have like, I'm done with this. It would just bring them back, and they would get to play a really good game.
Yeah, I wonder how many of the stubborn massive there are. I wonder if I'm in the minority, or because if they would have done that, I would have definitely got back on board and given it another shot, and I'd been, that's really good, a good token. That's really generous of them, and you can see kind of an apology, for expectation or whatever, and I'd have got back on board. And yeah, there's a good chance if they would have done a good expansion after that, I would have been hooked and been on board. But I wonder how many people, because there's some, when we see the figures, we know loads of people are playing it anyway. So I wonder how much it would have boosted it if they could appeal to the people that sort of wash their hands of it. Because when you see the figures, it seems like they've got enough anyway. Yeah,
no, absolutely. I mean, like, for me, I'm like, this is a fantastic game. It's a superb game, and the Taken King's kind of, a favourite DLC if you had to have a category of that, because it really did. It was a game changer. But I guess there are lots of people that took it back to game. They traded it in. They deleted it from their hard drive, because they would just found themselves grinding and not getting anywhere, and there was nothing to kind of keep them there. But for and I think James was that. I believe you. Same James is not here this week because I'm sure he, like you, just stepped away from it. I think he deleted it from his hard drive. That's how passionate he was about not playing Destiny anymore. And that's kind of similar to you taking that disc down to game and going, just take that away. I don't want it anymore.
Yeah,
which you tried to do. You tried to give it to your nephews, didn't you? So
yeah, and they got it back because he did a like the Ultimate Edition or whatever it is that included the game, and I can't even get rid of it because I got it. I bought. This is the tragedy, right? I was behind Destiny that much, and I've said this before. That's why I bought my PS4.
Yeah.
Bought my PS4 because of Destiny. So that's how amazing Bungie sold that game to me. That's how hyped they got me. I bought a console. That Destiny was the system seller for me. That was the catalyst.
Yeah.
I went out and bought my PS4 because of Destiny. And I mean, I'm glad I bought the PS4, but Destiny just didn't live up to expectation. I think I did the time wasted on Destiny, and it was about 40 hours, which is more than I thought. But I couldn't even sell it because it came with a bundle. It says on the blooming box, not to be sold. So I can't even get rid of it. So it's still here. So if anybody wants Destiny, let me know and I'll send it to you.
That's how passionate it is. It'll probably come back to you again.
Yeah, they'll say, "Oh, I didn't." I opened up and I got annoyed with the grind, and you can have it back.
Oh, superb. Right, next piece of news is you.
Yeah, this is a bit of the old VR desk. So this is the story about some VR predictions and some chatter that Dr. Richard Marks has said to Fortune magazine. First of all, the predictions. We've got IHS Technology, which is the world's leading source for research, analysis and strategic guidance in the technology, media and telecommunications industries. So they're a pretty big hitter, and they've made some predictions about PlayStation VR. The big one being that they think that PlayStation VR will sell 1.5 million units by the end of 2016. So that's a fair old number.
Wow.
Yeah, they've forecast that a total of 7 million VR headsets will be installed by 2016. That's across all, not just PSVR, that one, leading to a total of 38 million by 2020. Yeah, with an annual hardware spend increasing to $2.7 billion compared to $1.1 billion in 2016. But they did say that VR is going to be fairly limited at first to a niche audience of early adopters and gamers during the first 5 years. So that's going to take us up through to like 2020. And I'm certainly, we're both in that early adopter and gamer category, aren't we? I mean, we both
are indeed. Check and check.
Yeah. And they predict as well that it won't be adopted as fast as Blu-ray or even 3D TVs. They're saying that conditions are more suited to virtual reality technology and content adoption than ever before. But it's neither a bubble nor the next big thing. So it looks like they're predicting a sort of slow and steady rise and increase, which might mimic. See, my prediction is that VR could be as big as the internet has been. And when I think as how the internet gained momentum, it wasn't bang overnight, was it?
No,
it was a gradual. Like first, you started seeing the odd advert on television that had a website on, and you're like, "Oh, that's a bit weird. That's a bit new." And it did seem to me to drip feed even as a gamer, so, and then to what it is now. It certainly wasn't an overnight thing. It's evolved over many years, hasn't it? Since the 90s, hasn't it? Really, and it's got just bigger and bigger, and as speeds has got faster and technology's got better, and this is where we are. And I think the technology is going to dictate VR as well, because it probably needs to shrink and it needs to become wireless and things like that.
Yes,
So, it's interesting what they're saying. It's
well, I kind of see it as also like the iPad as well, like that tablet device. When the iPad first came out, I remember I got mine from the US from San Francisco, and I actually had an iPad. It was 6 months between the US and UK, and I had the iPad. It arrived on the Monday. It came out the Friday. I think it arrived on the Monday, and I was on the train, and people were like, "Oh, what's that for?" And it was a stopping point, but people were like, "Oh, I can't see that catching on. That's ridiculous," because even though you were saying this is what it does, I'm reading magazines, and people are like, no, I can't, and then now, you can see where iPads and tablets are now everywhere, and they've completely saturated the market, and they're everything is kind of iPad compatible, and I can see VR doing exactly the same thing. As you say, it's going to take a good 5 years where, us early adopters have these heavy, bulky things, but within that 5 year space, it will improve, it will get better, it will become more mainstream, and, it will stop being that extra news article on the news, and it will actually be, up forefront when something groundbreaking comes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's genres and applications of VR that we haven't even imagined yet, and these are gonna, as people use them more, and there's going to be some amazing stuff that flourishes out of the technology, I'm sure. The report is called the Virtual Reality and Entertainment Report from the IHS. It also predicts that they say PSVR will outsell Oculus Rift and HTC Vive combined by the end of 2016. Probably because of the amount of PS4s in people's homes that are cheaper to own than a PC.
Yep.
So that I can run with that. There's some other figures. They predict a combined sell of 1 million units, with Oculus Rift being 560,000 and HTC Vive being lower at 440,000. So that's the competitors' units that they're predicting. But against the sort of the PC bodies they're predicting that the PSVR will sell around 1.5 units in 2016. So, well, I'll be one of those units. There's been a lot of positive hype, if you like, a lot of positive information coming out about PSVR, and it's made me waver a little bit, because I was set for first. I was on Oculus, then when I heard about Vive with the extra dimension it adds, being the freedom to move around the room, I was just definitely for that, and it's a good reason to get a really, really amazing PC at the same time. But I'm reading a lot of stuff that says the PS4 performs better. It's more on a par with the Oculus. You can't move around the room with tracking so much. Well, not I'm aware of, but it will use the Move controllers to track you. So maybe it will. Maybe it will have a degree of tracking as well. So it would be for guys like you and me that don't have a PC but have a PS4, and anybody else that's in that situation. It's if it's around £300, it's something that it's tempting to just dive in.
Totally, absolutely. I mean, like, for me, because I'm an early adopter, I'm very interested in VR. You kind of sell it really well. I'm more interested now, kind of, when I've been listening to you over the last 29 episodes, about kind of VR. I'm definitely sold. And for me, PlayStation VR is the safe entry, because if I do like it, and if we're starting seeing these amazing things on Oculus, then I'll go and buy that PC that I've always wanted. But for the moment, the £350, the £300 mark, buying VR, playing it on PlayStation is the safe option. So my first foray into VR is going to be PlayStation VR.
Yeah, and I could absolutely agree with you there, and I may do the same. But it'd be difficult for me to change, because I've been so committed to HTC Vive since I first heard about it. But I can't believe that I'm even wavering. But there's definitely a seed of doubt now, and like you say, it's the easiest entry. And for me, really, getting an Oculus or an HTC Vive is really that's the catalyst for me getting a new PC. I'm not going to get one apart from that, because I'm happy with my consoles, and there isn't a PC exclusive game that's good enough to justify the spend at the moment. But a new experience could justify that spend, and that's how I linked the VR with getting a PC, because of like the freedom of movement of Vive. But yeah, as we hear more and more about PlayStation VR, I may waver more, and especially if they get out of the gate first. They're due for the first half of 2016, which I think means probably June. That kind of tallies with when we're expecting No Man's Sky. So that all fits together. We've discussed that before. So maybe Vive will beat them, but that's been delayed as well, which we tweeted from the Spark Pod. That was supposed to be, consumer models were supposed to be coming out by Christmas, and it's been delayed to something like April 2016. So I was expecting to maybe be getting a Vive in like June, July, when they originally said that they were going to be released, and they got delayed till Christmas, and now they've been delayed again till April. So I'm thinking that my 40th birthday present, I might not even get until I'm like 41 or past that, because I just put that on hiatus and thought I'd just wait for that particular piece of hardware. So that's April. And we don't know about Oculus, do we? Because all Palmer Luckey could do at the PlayStation experience was mess about on Rock Band instead of telling us when it was coming out.
Just rock on.
Yeah. So
I think the announcement is going to come at GDC. I think GDC, which is the 14th of March next year, I think that's when we're going to get our announcements.
Let's hope
I think
so.
that's it, because that is full of GDC, the Games Developers Conference. It's full of devs, and at the moment, Oculus, PlayStation VR, and HTC Vive, they need developers behind it. They know that there's people like you and I just waiting with our money, but they need to get the developers behind it, and they need to get content out there. So I think, San Francisco, March 14th, that's probably when we're going to get the announcements.
Yeah, let's hope so. It'll be great. It'll be great to hear and get some concrete information of when we can get our hands on these, because it's so difficult to get some time on these devices, and that's the way to sell it is really to be hands on. And that leads me on to an interview that the director of PlayStation's Magic Labs research division, he's one of the key designers of PlayStation VR. We've talked about it before, Dr. Richard Marks. He spoke to Fortune magazine, and he said that as well. He said, the quote from him here is that he said, "The challenge is getting people to try it for the first time. It's not available yet, and you really have to experience it to understand how amazing it is. Of course, there have been tons of technical hurdles that we've overcome throughout development, but those have been easier to address." So, they know themselves. This is a medium that you can't just play a trailer for to get the hook. It's the thing that you need to do. You need to experience to, get that spark. I mean, me and you, people like ourselves, we can see the potential, and we're there. But to get, mainstream into it, it's something where there's going to have to be demo units in shops so people can have a go and win over the hearts and minds of people. And if it's good enough, I think it will in its droves. I mean, I think it could be like the Wii, because this is something where it's going to be obvious what to do, depending on the experience. It's like walk about, look around. People are going to be amazed by it, I think.
No, absolutely. I mean, I was slightly worried before the PlayStation experience, because I think I said last week, before the PlayStation experience, it was always like, put this on, press that button, calibrate it, can you see this? And there was always this kind of delay when putting on a PlayStation VR headset, that you had to make sure it was all kind of set up right. But the reports from the PlayStation experience it was just a case of, take it up from the guy who was on there previously, strap it to your head, and off you go. So if that's the case, then that's definitely going to help. It's definitely an improvement, and I can definitely see it as something like the Wii, where people suddenly go, this sounds great. You imagine, I'm in the office, I'm just chatting away and just waxing lyrical about my new VR headset. It's going to be exactly like what the Wii U was. Other people are like, oh, I fancy a bit of that. They buy it, and then they tell their friends, and they tell their friends. Yeah,
it's like people like us get it, and then you have friends around, they see it, and they like it, they're gonna want it. It'll be interesting to see what the demand's like, whether these are items that are going to go out of stock really quickly and create even more demand. Nintendo are experts at that. But also Mark says that it's a great time in VR because he says that everybody's sharing the information. So the different platforms are all, you said I think last week about your hope that they're play friendly.
Yes.
He's saying that they are. They're saying that when somebody figures out what works in VR, they're sharing that so that the VR experience can improve.
Really cool.
Because it's in all their interests, isn't it?
Yes.
And he says that that's a refreshing thing to see in the games industry. So that's really good news, so that they're sort of going into this new age, if you like, this VR age together, and they're not sort of locking themselves down and being isolated against each other's ideas, and then you get very distinctive and different experiences or differences between the different players. This time, with them being linked, hopefully it's going to be better for everybody. It's be better, and if they're all in tandem and are all pretty good, that means people will be interested in all three. So they'll all have a share of the pie, which ultimately means there'll be more competition, which means they'll bring the price down. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So, yeah, he talks about a lot of stats as well, which is all very interesting, but probably not for me to parrot out on here. But this is a link I'll add as well, and this is from Fortune.com. With Dr. Richard Marks talking about VR, and he knows what he's talking about because he's sort of leading the way with it at Sony. So, yeah, interesting stuff.
Fantastic, and I just hope they announce it at GDC or at CES just to put you out of your misery, Daz. Just so you can know it's coming, and what we're going to use it. I'd love them to say that. Here you go. It's coming in April. You're getting these 3 games, these 2 experiences. Off you go, and then that's it, and that would just be awesome.
It would. I've been waiting since like March.
Mm.
So yeah. The next item. I was going to say it's with you. but it's with me. I'm not very good today. I'm not very good today. Excuse me. I'm sorry, I keep bungling it up. Yeah, and this is just a little bit of an finally, really. And I mean, I'm one of these people that likes to be early. I don't like to be late. What about you? I get the impression you're an early rather than late guy.
I am indeed. Even Nicola said about tomorrow. She goes, "I bet we're going to be like the first in the cinema." We're going. I am. It pains me if I'm late. I am an early person. For everything. I'm early to the airport. I'm early to work. I'm early. And it's just absolutely. So yes.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm always early, and I find it sort of a bit. It's bad because now I'm getting older. I sort of find it disrespectful if I'm not early because I think being late is disrespectful, and I start to. In my 40th year, I start to think that if people are late to me, it is a sign that they, can't be bothered and stuff. It's, it's not good. But yeah, so we like being early, but everything's got its place. My goodness me, what about E3 2016 dropping a trailer already?
What?
Can you believe it? So yeah, I'm up for I'll even be 20 minutes, 40 minutes early to things, and I'll take the stand. I'll wait, and I'll be happy that I'm early. But E3 2016, which is in June, 14th to the 16th of June 2016 in LA, they've dropped a trailer. Hooray!
Wow!
It was published on the 14th of December, so that we can all get geared up. So there you go. Do you think that's timely?
Oh, that is just awesome. I must admit, I was listening to a podcast on Locked, and they were saying that they had their first E3 meeting the other day.
My goodness me. But, I know. Do we need a reminder? It's not as if we're going to forget about E3. No one's going to forget about E3.
Going up to it, everybody knows at E3. It's a big circle on everybody's calendar, surely, gaming calendar. So
yeah, I mean, there was a time when it nearly disappeared. Do you remember that? I'm so glad it didn't.
They kind of downscaled it, didn't they, for a while, and then they got rid of the booth babes, quite rightly so, and they kind of downscaled it, and then it's now kind of back up, and it now is that kind of everybody looks at E3 now, the BBC, your Fox News, everybody, is kind of, it always kind of peaks, and I'm so glad for it because it is just a celebration of this awesome gaming pastime.
Yeah, I love it. It's got all the glitz and glamour that I sort of always wanted it to have now, and it's more than just. It used to just be a bit of a suits meetup, didn't it? If you look on YouTube, it's like the announcements of like the PlayStation 2 and things like that. It's just some guy, probably Shuhei Yoshida, but he's just like stood in front of like a crusty red curtain, and he just like reads it off a lectern as if it's just a business meeting. And then you look where it's gone in the last few generations, and now it's all, like I say, all the Hollywood glitz and glamour. Not just a business meeting, but the whole gaming world looks in, and because of the technology we've got, we watch it live, we watch the conferences. It's so cool. But we're not going to forget, it's 6 months away.
We don't need a reminder in December.
We obviously do, Entertainment Software Association thinks we do. We run it. So, listeners, in case you had forgotten or weren't aware, E3 2016 will be on the 14th to the 16th of June 2016 in Los Angeles. I suppose it gives us all time over here in Blighty a bit of time to save up for that plane ticket.
Yeah, wow. That's just like, what's them, isn't it? It's just like the day after Boxing Day in the UK when Cadbury's cream eggs and mini eggs are available.
Yeah.
It's just too soon.
It's too soon.
And with that, that's about it for this episode. Big thank you for listening. Don't forget, you can keep up with us. We're at gamersoflostspark.com, where we post this podcast, and we also post the notes and little articles that we mention throughout the podcast as well. You can also find us on Facebook. We're on Twitter, where we're at Lost Spark Pod, and we're on YouTube, and you can also find us on the PlayStation 4 Gamers of the Lost Spark community. Darren, where can we find you online?
Yeah, you can get me online as Wythermator on PS4, Xbox One and Twitch, Dazagamer on YouTube, and at Daz Whittam on Twitter.
And for me, I am Chessman on Xbox Live. I'm PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network. And I'm also Chessman UK on Twitter. If you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That's feedback@gamersofalostspark.com. And don't forget, if you're feeling generous, please leave us a review on iTunes. It does help us get noticed and also bumps us up to that main page. So that's about it. We'll be back next week. So we've still got one more before Christmas. But I'm going to go sleep now and just kind of wait for Star Wars Day. So catch you later. See you next week.
Bye. two sisters came walking down the stream. Oh, the wind and the rain. One behind pushed the other one in, crying, oh, the dreadful wind and rain. Johnny gave the youngest a gay gold ring. Oh, the wind and the rain. Didn't give the oldest one anything, crying, oh, the dreadful wind and rain. Pushed her into the river to drown, oh, the wind and the rain. And watched her as she floated down, crying, oh, the dreadful wind and rain. That'll do.